what's happening here?
The show is starting! Don't you recognize the theme song?
Are you playing that? What are you playing that on?
The Roadcaster.
Oh. Okay.
No, I did this on purpose just to mess with you. But here you go.
Yeah, to show how humorless and stuffy I am when something unexpected happens.
Damn, love that. I'm getting in the mood.
I actually like hearing it now that I think about it.
Yeah, I'm getting fully in the mood.
We can start over if you want.
No, I mean, I could listen to the song all day, every day, and I do sometimes.
This is the best. By the way, this is the best version of when I wanted to hear it, I Googled the song and like tried to figure out what season it was or whatever. And I went through all the seasons until I found it, and it's the best one. Yeah,
and it's also the best opening credits. It's Knots Landing season 9. Yeah. I have about 500 people a week asking me what it is. But yeah, it's the best opening credits and the best version of the theme song.
Do you like how I didn't ask you and I actually went and found it myself?
That's really cool when people do things for themselves. Though I like being asked things, but yeah, it always, I'm glad people listen to the show and everything, but when they ask, have you covered so-and-so topic, do you have a list of perfumes that you have covered, when the show is only 118 episodes and the perfumes covered are listed in the episode descriptions for each one, I do wonder what goes through the mind of the person who asks questions before trying to figure it out themselves. Because I will never even talk to customer service unless it's an absolute necessity. Yeah. I hate asking anyone for anything.
Yeah. I mean, when someone asks me a question they can Google, I'm just like, what?
But the list of perfumes things...
The show
I'm gonna create
the show is a list of perfumes.
It's a list of perfumes, but I'm gonna create 8. I'm gonna spawn 8 Joker villains by saying this right now. That maybe you should look at the you could look at the list of perfumes covered before asking that. But yeah, whatever. No, I'm really happy people listen to the show and they're interested in perfume.
The Joker villains are always coming.
I'm really, really happy. It's really funny, tracking the development of a Joker villain. You have the ear for it. You sent it about 6 months early, but until you have the proof, until the proof is added up, you can't really.
You can't say anything because if you say something, you sound like an asshole. Because it's always someone. It's always someone who is playing or they're playing like they're innocent always.
Yeah. And, it's always someone who is, kind of aggressive and at, infesting a certain group of people. And, it's just, you see the red flags, but you can't just go around declaring everyone Joker villains before there's the proof. But then the predictable thing happens. And, but Joker villains are a huge problem in the podcast landscape. But I'm so discombobulated right now. 30 minutes before this. Okay, I've talked about it on the show before, but I'm supposed to be on call at my job, for my concierge job, for 1 weekend a month because they can't get weekend people who will keep the job. And I had a problem with this. I told them, I have another job. I really can't just be on call every weekend. Whatever. They said, you have to. It's technically in my job description that the front desk has to be covered at all times. And so I said, whatever. But this weekend I was supposed to be on call. And this was the only thing I had scheduled at 8 p.m. Sunday. And so all the weekend people showed up for their shifts. And then I get a text from the girl that's there saying she's quitting 30 minutes ago.
Oh my fucking God.
And I called her and I begged her. I said, please, you never have to come back ever again. Can you just stay for the rest of your shift? And she said, no, I cannot. I do not work here anymore. And what had set her off was that, this is the most uneventful, easy walk in the park kind of hospitality job, low stress. Everyone's really nice. Nothing happens. The most stressful thing that happens is that the fire alarm goes off or something like that.
Or someone quits.
Yeah. But there's like a rash of bike thefts because it's downtown in our wonderful liberal city full of homeless tent encampments. There's a constant rash of bike thefts because people won't keep their bikes in their condos.
And just like pet rabbits die, bikes get stolen.
Mm-hmm. And people, especially the wealthy, literally, they'll be like 42 years old and think that like a cop can find a stolen bike.
I absolutely love that. I mean, in Chicago, you just assume your bike's probably going to get stolen. You don't
if you care about your bike, put it in your damn apartment.
Yeah, yes.
Like, no amount of locks, wire cutters, whatever. And people that professionally steal bikes cut through all of that. It happens all day, every day, and nothing can stop it. And it's not like the concierge can like run after the person, even if they see it. Like, I'm not going to get killed by like a crazy person to like rescue a bike. But this girl got like several like heated comments from residents about bike theft, which happens to me all day, every day. And
that is hilarious.
And then she showed up for a shift, and then there was 4 hours left, and she called me and said, I am leaving right now. You cannot make me stay here. This is bad for my mental health. And so,
like, for my mental health.
Mental health, man.
I called my manager, and I said, look, I don't want to lose my job, but I can't go. I have a recording session scheduled, and I scheduled it at the end of the weekend, and I'm really sorry, but just because she quit, I can't show up. And I asked her to stay for the rest of her shift. And she called him and said that I had sounded aggressive and that it was bad for her mental health.
Oh my God.
She used all these buzzwords like mental health and stress.
Did you ever ask about your mental health or stress?
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Damn, dude. Wow.
I won't mention anything about the gender or racial profile of this person. I guess I already mentioned the gender. I won't mention anything about that. It's just something to think about.
A Welsh lady.
But people are so shitty. Can you believe? Okay, everybody who is just like respectable enough to show up for their job is demonized and like manipulated and used in this way. And these this woman is like in her mid 40s.
Oh my God.
And she couldn't stay four more hours of a shift where she's sitting there doing nothing.
I guess she's not worried about being evicted.
Yeah, so
yeah, you're probably right.
So, since everyone online is like a fake psyop think tank leftist that has no idea what's going on and doesn't work, there's an employment crisis everywhere right now because of the COVID welfare that the Democrats have done. Nobody wants to work. Restaurants are not staffed. Hotels are not staffed. There's no staff anywhere.
Yeah, literally any kind of job like that has a sign up now hiring. Like everywhere.
Yep. I haven't seen like a fast food place without a now hiring sign in months.
Nobody wants to work.
I'm giving away a little bit too much about what I eat.
I was eating I hadn't eaten fast food in like 2 months, and I was eating McDonald's alone in my car after a stressful week, and this homeless man like looked at me, and I was like, what the fuck gives you the right to look at me while I'm fucking eating my McDonald's? The fuck gives you the right?
That tweet was legendary, man.
Eating is a private thing. It's like committing a murder. It should happen in an impulsive moment, and it should be a terrible secret, and it should be done alone.
And you have to like put up these mental blocks that are even invisible to yourself to eat with people. Like, if even for 1 second you become conscious of what's going on.
I completely agree with this, and like you said, the private matter. When I go to a gas station, and like one of the greatest shames I feel on a weekly basis is going to a gas station and throwing away all the bags of fast food and fast food paraphernalia I have in my car.
Oh man, I have to get rid of it immediately, just like cleaning up a murder scene. I don't want anyone to know. I'm one of the most eating disordered, crazy people that ever lived.
Now that I have a new car, I actually don't keep it in the car anymore. I throw it away in my house. But then my girlfriend knows all the fucking food that I eat. So I can't hide it as well.
You know who is totally unself-conscious about being seen eating and being seen eating like smelly, nasty stuff? It's Chads and Stacy's. Like hot people will eat anything in front of anyone. Like all the like hot girls that I used to work with in the office. They
sandwich down.
Oh yeah, they'll eat the
true.
smelliest, like microwaved fish, whatever, smelly salads in front of everyone. The biggest compliment that I've ever received, and this says so much about my mental state and way of life, is this girl, after working with me for 2 years, said, "Jack, I've never seen you eat." I was like, good. She's never seen it.
That's great, yeah.
Yep.
That's solid.
Keep it a fucking secret. I need to tent my windows so I can eat my McDonald's in peace. But no, I'm never eating fast food ever again.
I feel that.
We have our lovely Berto from Ghost Jail here.
Who's also... we're all discombobulated. His power went out, so he had to find a new location.
So my situation today is that I was getting ready. I was really excited for the podcast. I was getting all my shit ready, and, it started raining. And then 5 minutes later... I would say 5 minutes after it started raining, exactly, like that quickly, the power went out, and I was like, oh, it'll come back on, very shortly, and it did not. So I had to drive to my mother's house, and I'm in her basement right now, and I had to gather all my things. I gathered my Tascam recorder that I'm recording this on. I gathered my laptop and my phone and a charger and my beer that I'm drinking and the perfume that you sent me and everything.
Did you have to explain to your mother that you're recording a right-wing perfume podcast? a right-wing queer perfume podcast about Legally Blonde?
Me and my mother, I'm very open with my mom. She knows all of this. And she knows that Legally Blonde is my favorite movie. So it's all out in the open, so she's cool with it.
You're not in the closet with her?
No, I'm not in the closet about any of these things.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, it's really hard to explain what this is in real life.
Yeah,
I have a little speech down for when the situation comes up, where...
Yeah, it's a perfume and culture podcast, like a queer perfume and culture podcast, right?
But I have to say the name. The name raises the eyebrow, and then I have to explain about the name, and yeah, it's a queer culture. It's a transgressive queer art podcast.
I forgot the word transgressive. That's really important.
Do normal people know that word? Or just
No.
Okay, so maybe I'll take that out of the roster, out of the speech, depending on the occasion. So
it really depends on which kind of normal you mean, but yeah, no.
Well, thank you so much for driving to your mother's house to record this. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean...
that we say these things.
It's the Perfume Nationalist. That's what I said in the chat. I had to do it. I've been thinking about my appearance. I've been excited and dreading my appearance on this for so long because I'm so nervous.
You have this idea that you can't talk, and this is the most easy, chatty, talkative. I forgot we were even recording already.
You're a better talker than me, Bert.
Well,
you're really good at talking. I don't buy that insecurity for a minute. But how did we?
Thank you.
Okay, something interesting. Okay,
If I didn't have the insecurity, I wouldn't have done Ghost Jail. So I'm glad I have the insecurity.
Oh yeah, so it's. See, I'm actually more insecure about having to like record something and then send it than I am about like doing impromptu things.
You know what? Honestly, me too. But I don't talk on Ghost Jail ever, so I don't even have to worry about that either.
So, how did you get involved in this? How did you get thrown down the right-wing perfume pipeline? I was like term searching Joseph McElroy's Women and Men, this like giant, famously unreadable experimental novel from the 80s, and you were like an Instagram account, and I saw like you had pictures of your books, and then also you were hot, so I was like, follow. And then
I love that story.
You appeared on Twitter.
So I had a Twitter account. For months and months that I would post, like, I seriously just had it sitting there, and like every once in a while, like once a week, I would post like 10 like Gertrude Stein-esque insane nonsensical tweets that were completely retarded and not for anyone's eyes, and like there's a reason that no one gave a shit. I would post that type of stuff every day, or like once a week, like tweet storming for like years. And then I saw that you have a Twitter account that is popular and that was actually in use. And I was like, what's going on here? Because I just like saw your Instagram account and saw that you were posting things from Twitter. So I went on Twitter and looked you up. And then I was like, wow, this is a in-use Twitter account.
But you also had the moment where you were scared. Like, I like that you listened to some of the season 1 episodes and you were like, is this okay?
Yeah,
well, that's not the whole way. We're at the beginning of the story now. So at the beginning of the story, I message you on Twitter, hey, can you get me some followers? Or I message you on Instagram, since we had messaged back and forth through like the stories function, a little tiny bit, I think.
Like flame emojis?
Yeah, or something like that. And I had messaged you, could you please help me get followers on Twitter? I don't know how this thing works. Like, I can't get it to work. I can't get... I can get Instagram to work. You just hit like on a bunch of shit, until someone hits follow. But I can't get Twitter to work, and you helped me out there.
Twitter is so easy compared to Instagram. I
understand Twitter.
Because Twitter, you just have to like be good at words, and you have to follow you have to invest like yourself in with the right people. Yeah. And you have to be good at words. Like writing, getting a following from writing is comparatively easy. But Instagram is like first generation RPG, like Final Fantasy 1 or something, where you can't post. You like people don't post. I don't even know what it's called. Like on your regular like page, people don't really post on there. They'll post stories, but not that much. You really have to just sit there and get popular from doing like one post a month.
Or
because anything else looks weird and desperate.
So there is a way to do Instagram.
The way to do
No, the way to do Instagram for me was post. Well, I was just posting like books and shit, which is totally gay or whatever. But I was just posting book stuff, and I would go and like every single thing in a hashtag. You know what I mean? And like I would like for an hour until I couldn't anymore, and they said no. That's like the way. That's like kind of the way that you have to do it. You have to like be a spam bot.
People think I'm hot on Instagram. I love it. It's like paradise over there.
Well, you are.
Like gays like thirst follow me there.
Oh, that
but if you look on Twitter, it's like I'm like the goblin of all time.
Well, but
That's because on Twitter you opened your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
All I've wanted my entire life is to be objectified and treated like a piece of meat, and I had to develop this personality to, like, attract people and be funny. So Instagram, people thirst following me because of the occasional selfie on Instagram, like, oh, here's this, like, hot bear guy, like, what's his face, Chadwick Moore, that, like, hot, like, conservative journalist guy, who's, like, friends with Milo. He be liking my selfies.
Oh, nice. You get some fun likes on Instagram. Don't you?
Yeah. Whenever Twitter gets bad, I have to just like go over to the little oasis of Instagram where no one even knows I'm problematic.
Yeah, that's kind of the upside of it.
I like my normie followers on there. Like there will be like just like random like middle-aged ladies who are into Perfume. And, like, the second they see something, like, weird and political, they'll be like, wait, what's going on here? But they keep following because it's good.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you were like, when they introduce a really important character on a later season of a soap opera, like Abby on Knots Landing was introduced in season 2. Like when someone new moves into the Melrose Place apartments, like you were like a big character that appeared. And now you've built your podcast empire too.
Yeah, I'm happy that I appeared in that.
All of our stories are like scruples and like sins, like building our little podcast empires.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I got that I found whatever is going on here, man. It's really cool.
The Berto Center represents like a paradigm shift, and I don't know exactly how to articulate it yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like this big ravine, and there's no going back after that. Like there was something like I increasingly don't even identify with the word gay. I'm just like those like clickbait, like libtard clickbait articles that trads freak out about that are like, straight men are cuddling with each other and it's not even gay. And they're like, globo homo and the Jews are making you do this. Well, that's what, like, you know, that makes more sense to me.
Yes.
But like the Berto Center is like the fact that everybody like this is caught on. Like when I'll see like people unrelated that like don't really know us, like posting about piss and the Berto Center.
Yeah, a literal inside joke with a small group of people transformed into this work of art that can reach and communicate whatever it's communicating with other people. I'm not I like don't even know what that Berto Center is. I don't mean like, is it a radio play? Is it a podcast? I don't mean that. Like it's
a radio play sketch comedy concept album podcast.
It's like Naked Lunch. Like the Naked Lunch is the closest thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I mean, I've never even read Naked Lunch, but I am flattered because that's popular.
I was tripping. Okay, like Ghost Jail is known for how beautifully edited, and it's like the most intricate podcast ever because you take all of these audio submissions from people and edit them together into this beautiful like hour and a half long sound collage, like Derek Jarman's Blue or something, but it's way better.
It's like a greatest hits of the scene, like every episode.
God, you guys are being so nice. Thank you.
But everyone loves it. Everyone's obsessed with it, as they should be. But yeah, it's like that one. Like the previous episodes were mostly built around like a cultural theme.
Yeah,
you know, like more like $1 Million Extreme-ish.
Yes.
Where it's like large alienated white men saying things
about topics, yeah.
But then the Berto Center, which is your season finale, is this like absolute psychedelic Naked Lunch future vision, where everybody from Twitter like shows up in this like Star Wars cantina, and it's all about drinking. It's about drinking your urine. You have the most famous urine. You have the most famous urine of anyone that ever lived. I sincerely,
Yeah,
that.
when we were working on it, everywhere I would drop the play cursor, like no matter what, every time I would drop the play cursor, I would just be like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah, Orton became a staff producer on this episode too, which is huge.
I'm like so ridiculously proud. I've listened to it 3 times all the way through, like after we finished it, and I'm like, I cannot even describe to you the pride I feel that I had anything to do with that. Like whatever that is, I can't believe that I got to be a part of that.
I think I've listened to it 20 times.
I was going along with it, and I was like, this is beautiful and funny and amazing and everything, and then the point where I like got chills and felt like that, like that naked lunch shock of recognition that something was going on and I didn't understand what it was when trans Amy Therese shows up talking about piss pools in that Australian accent. I'm like, what the fuck have I gotten into 3 years ago that resulted in this? It's just like, it's beautiful. Trans Amy Therese, this.
Yeah,
it has this like really consistent vision of the future. Actually, it feels like it all like is scripted by one person and made sense.
And it's all the color of the promo images, that purple pink, but it's not like vaporwave. It's all that color.
Yeah, I wish I could shout out the artist right now. Fuck, I can't. But I think it's the Count of S. But he did a great job with that. I reached out to Reagan Lodge about doing it, and he was too busy, and he gave me some artist names, and I just went with one of them.
Oh my god, it's amazing, that flashing sign that says hot piss with the... it says something is going on. This says something really deep and important about like the state of modern masculinity and like the evolution of male sexuality and socializing.
I think so, and especially about gay... and like the death of gay, like I mean, honestly, on every podcast I've been on like a few podcasts since it came out, and I've been sure to mention that you, this wouldn't exist without you, obviously, you know.
Aww.
Well, I mean, like it really wouldn't. I mean, like first of all, Ghost Jail wouldn't, because I wouldn't have any audience or any scene or whatever to have created this in, but. Even beyond that, like the whole philosophy and the whole, I mean, just like the general vibe wouldn't exist without the Perfume Nationalist. So, yeah, I've been sure to mention that because credit where credit is due, you know?
Thank you. That truly means so much to me.
And
it means so much that the Piss podcast.
And this is also, like, Ghost Jail is probably the best example of... you know, like, okay, music is dead, Bandcamp is embarrassing, nobody cares, music is dead, but people still make music. We still like to mess with gear. We still have like dreams that were developed in the last century, back when things were happening that we can't let go of, but you found a way to still mess with audio and music in a realm that's working. Because I remember talking to you about like those videos that you made before Ghost Jail. You would just post videos of beats, and I was like, I think that's a valid art form. You know,
the unfinished music.
Yeah, it's 2020, 2021, 2019, whatever. Like, I actually think that's that's sort of separate, but anyway, I just wanted to get some comments from you about like the death of music and like finding a place where it actually works, if you have any thoughts on that.
Shit. So yeah, I mean, I guess like the best way to talk about that would be to just tell the story of like what happened, which was that I made music for years and years. I was in bands, and we had some success, and then I was in, like, I was just making my own, and then I quit the music scene because, you know, like, what are you gonna, like you said, what are you gonna do with music now?
Yeah, nobody cares. It doesn't make any difference.
Not only does nobody care and it doesn't make a difference, but, like, there's no scene, I mean, it's just dead.
And it feels like all the oil has been pumped out of the ground and there's no more to pump. Not even with fracking.
Yeah, exactly. Not even with fracking. Well, this is fracking.
Yeah, maybe.
This is fracking.
I learned this week that all professional musicians have trust funds, which made all the pieces of everything come together.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, they all have trust funds. So you always wonder, like, how has anyone made a living from music in the last 20 years?
They don't.
Because even at the highest level, like Rihanna and stuff, like, they only make money from the product endorsements and tours.
Well, I'm sure Rihanna doesn't have much trouble making money.
But it's from, like, beauty products. It's not from, like, music or anything, you know. But
Just
even at the highest level,
famous.
it's that. But, like, on the lower level where it's these guys that are, you know, dressed like rock stars still exist. And they're, like, jeans and boot, you know. I saw a lot of these guys back where I used to work. But, yeah, they all have trust funds.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the only way to really make money doing music is to just become famous. And then once you're famous, you make money from being famous. But
And then you have one of those celebrity bands where it's like Juliette Lewis's band, you know? Like,
oh no!
Russell Crowe's band.
Oh no!
But just
anyway,
because nothing is happening, like, if you have the disease, you still mess with this stuff.
Yeah. So what happened was, like I said, I had some success in music when there was like scenes and all that, and then after that, I was just literally trying to make like video game soundtracks on my computer to make like a weird concept album for a video game that didn't exist and stuff like that. I'm sure this is a common thing. I don't think that I'm anything like special. I think like probably a lot of guys try to do kind of weird stuff like this, and I would just like make 50 unfinished weird parts of things, and then I don't know, I just started using them for this, man. I use the old ones for this, and then I make a bunch of new ones. So yeah, I don't know, something happened.
I think it's a valid art form. I don't think that the perfectly constructed pop song, as great as it is necessarily like the be-all, end-all of...
Oh, by the way, I always feel terrible about this. Fucking Dust Breeder makes really dope, incredible stuff. All the guys who I make the show with make really incredible stuff. Especially Dust Breeder. He makes full-on insane shit for his part.
Guy.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Guy. He'll make, by the way, the parts, like some of your favorite parts of the Berto Center are entirely him. So I feel the need to explain
He got to a new level with his Berto Center segment.
A new level where it's the two trannies talking to each other. And
every time you hear his voice, you know his voice. A lot of people don't know his voice.
He's
so
a former TPN
I know his voice because I heard him imitating black people at bars for 10 years before he was doing this.
So yeah, he's the black scent guy, and he has a he has a whole host of voices that he does, and he produces those entire things and sends them to me complete, and I don't have to do anything. So he is literally, he does so much for the podcast. It's insane. So
he's so amazing.
I feel like I'm like take the central role in this podcast, but I'm not really. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
You have a name that's easy to remember too, because it's just like one word. It's like Madonna.
I just felt like I had to talk about it for a second because like I talk about this podcast and we're talking about what I've done, and I'm just like, fuck. But yeah, anyway, anytime you hear guitar music, it's probably Classman. So, and then Illich, you can tell his voice when you hear it.
The number of people that came together to produce that, where it's this giant galaxy constellation of people involved in this vision of a Tom of Finland bathhouse in the future where everyone's drinking your piss. And just like, I don't... it's mind-boggling that this exists.
Yeah, go back in time, like you said, 3 years, 5 years, and show yourself Berto Center. Like, what would
these guys?
How did we end up here?
No, when I came on like right-wing Twitter in October 2018, you couldn't mention movies because they would start talking to you about Jewish degeneracy.
Oh my god!
That's how humorless these and all the gays, the few gays that were on here, were all like these weird like trad calf, like celibate freaks who would like answer questions on Curious Cats about the one time they ever had gay sex and they regretted it forever.
There weren't any,
or they were like Nazi gays. LARPing where they what was that?
There weren't even any based gays.
No, there weren't based gays at all. And then there were also these like Nazi LARPer ones who like fantasized about homosexuality being made illegal and them being like put in concentration camps to like...
Oh my god.
Like, this is how dumb people were.
Yeah,
and this entire, like... You know, I hate, like, describing it myself because it looks, like, self-absorbed. But, like, really, this, like... that I carved out a space where I could do this shit.
Like I said, you're right. I mean, you invented the space for this to even... for Ghost Shield to even exist, let alone the Berto Center, which...
But even doing something like... pictures of soap operas and you know, like all they were so humorless, and like I got into the scene because of like $1 Million Extreme, and I was like lurking like Nick Mullen's Twitter and like Sam Hyde's Twitter without posting or anything, and I loved all of that stuff. And then when I came to actually post, it was the level of like racist humorlessness and like uncreative, which now all the post-left people, such as the ones we mentioned on the last episode, are currently stuck in that 2016 alt-right mode where they're just circulating that same picture of Drag Queen Story Hour with the demon, and they're like, so they're currently doing that.
Cares? Yeah.
But they're like, oh god, but really, this space was like carved out, and it's like, I just met friends and like met cool friends who like got it.
It's so funny that like a bunch of like us MAGA boomers are significantly more liberal than the post-left is.
We're more liberal than everyone else.
Funny.
We're more liberal than the left, the dirtbag left, the post-left, whatever. We're the right-wing wignats who are all fake, and they're like, you know, paid psyops sent to like get people in trouble and such as Charlottesville. But like, we're more liberal and like imaginative than like all of those people. And I also love that like straight men are better at producing queer culture.
Yeah, that's so funny.
You know, like, where is gay culture now? It's fucking nowhere because they're all like weak.
I said somewhere at some point that I should get some kind of queer or some kind of LGBT achievement award for this, for the Berto Center.
Yeah, you should, because what gay men are doing, what, like 45-minute long, like drag race woke recap episodes, and it's like the straight men are all creating this like far superior queer culture, and it's because straight men are better at doing everything, and they provide the entire infrastructure of society.
I'm pretty sure there's no standing at all on the Berto Center, right? No one stands anything.
What do you mean?
I'm making fun of...
Oh, like how gay people are standing divas. They choose... Gay people now will choose a diva.
I see.
They'll choose a female musician seemingly at random to stand for the rest of their lives. And it's like being given a Dungeons and Dragons character or something.
That's so true.
And it's, you know, and like a friend of the pod, Zach Langley Chi-Chi, started out as like a Azalea Banks and K-pop stan account.
That's so fucking funny. God, I love that guy. That's so funny.
He's amazing.
He started that way.
Yeah, he started out as that, and then he ended up over here.
Dude, his part on the next to last one,
the school episode.
That was another level too. Yeah. Anyway,
I think that was his. That was the best bit on that episode.
Whew, that was good.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. I was listening in the car when I was proofing it with my girlfriend, and she was like, that was so good after Zach Langley.
Berto, do you have any history with fragrance?
So, we got to get in this. I mean, when I was a kid, I was I used Curve, so I'm sure that's a common story.
Curve is good.
Yeah, Curve's good. I loved Curve. I had the size of the one you sent me. What size is this that you sent me?
Like that little tester bottle?
Yeah, the little tester bottle.
You had a sample.
So I had a sample bottle. I had multiple sample, but I don't know where they came from. I think it was my brother. But in the bathroom in my childhood home, I had a bunch of sample bottles of CK1. That was it. I mean, I think that was it. I assume that was it because I think they were Calvin Klein bottles. And I sprayed that a lot as a kid. But other than that, not really. I remember my brother using what's the perfume or the cologne, I guess you would call it, in the like Naked Man bottle.
Oh, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Le Mal.
That's right. The one with like the blue stripes
And the crotch bulge.
And the huge crotch bulge, yeah.
You remember the crotch bulge?
Of course. I thought about the crotch bulge all the time.
It's pretty unavoidable. That was the smell of gay bars for about 20 years. It's no longer as strong as it once was, but that like cinnamon Red Hots smell was like there was a solid fog of that in all gay bars.
So my brother was all about that. He would spray that all the time, and I remember thinking it was like the best smell in the world. Just because he's like your older brother, and you just think like he likes cool, good stuff, and his taste is good. So you're like, wow, that's a good smell.
It is a great smell. It's legendary.
Yeah, and I just was like, wow, that's the best smell ever. And I was like totally afraid to spray it on myself because like it's his, and he would beat my ass. So
it also seemed like unimaginably expensive, like when you're a kid and you're looking at
that's
perfume.
Another thing, yeah,
because the first women's perfume that I bought for myself was the Jean-Paul Gaultier for women, because I wanted the bottle, which that version of the bottle had the famous Madonna Blonde Ambition cone bra corset on it.
So you didn't want the crotch bulge, or
no? I wanted that bottle, but I remember spending $100 on a perfume for the first time, and it felt completely insane. I was like, "Holy shit! I just spent $100." And this is when I like didn't even have a job. I was like 19 or something.
Okay, I see.
And it felt
like $100 is a lot of money at that age. When I was 19, I had held probably like $100 bills in my hand in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting my first paycheck from a job, and it was like $300, and I was like, I'm the richest person who ever lived. And I went to Fry's and like spent it all on DVDs.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I spent my first paycheck on, I don't remember actually, just like a bunch of trash beer.
And now it's to the point where like I think of a $300 fragrance as being an affordable fragrance. I'm like, oh, that's not that bad.
I still think of $100 as expensive, I'm sorry to say.
But it does take, I'm always explaining, my defense of spending money on perfume is that it does take a really long time to go through a bottle of perfume. So you're spending
true.
The equivalent
and the more you
of like
have, the less time it takes, or the more you have, the longer they last, the longer they all last.
Right. And the average Uber Eats meal, which all rich people order Uber Eats 3 times a day. Each one of those is like $60 per person. Like $100 for a bottle of fragrance is nothing. That takes 3 years to go through. Okay. Amarige. What was that?
Probably even longer than 3 years. I mean, depending on how many you have and how much you use it,
Yeah, I mean, it takes forever. I'm looking at my library now. I love finishing a bottle. It feels so good to finish a bottle. But yeah, it takes fucking forever. Some of these bottles I've been using constantly.
I haven't finished a bottle since I've been listening to the Perfume Nationalist and buying cologne and perfume regularly. I have not finished a single bottle. So,
what all do you have right now? I know you have Eden and Poison.
Don't you have
I
Happy?
have Eden. I have what?
Don't you have Happy?
I don't have Happy. I don't even know what that is.
Clinique Happy. It's what Elle Woods sprays on in Legally Blonde.
Fuck! I'm gonna need that now, because that's literally my favorite movie. We'll get to that, but I think I have shit.
You have Eden. You have Poison.
Eden, I have Poison. I have Opium. I have Brute. I have This is hard. I just got 4711, which is incredible, but it stained my shirt. Just saying, it didn't stain my shirt, but I thought that I could just pour it all over myself. I was literally just taking the giant bottle I got. I forgot how big it was, and just throwing it at myself because it doesn't last that long, and I just wanted it to be all over me. And I went out for the night this Friday actually with 4711, just splashed all over myself. I just was like, it'll dry and it won't make a mark. And then I got home at the end of the night and looked in the mirror and saw just splotches all over myself.
It's kind of viscous and oily for something so for a light eau de cologne. It has that oily quality that heavy perfumes with good ingredients have, because it's amazing stuff. But yeah, I spray 4711 on after a shower before I put on the day's perfume.
Oh, wait, you have a spray bottle?
I have the giant 20-ounce bottle, but I put some of it into a spray.
I need a spray bottle.
You can get spray bottles. This is also a common question for podcast people, but you can get the spray bottles at any health food store, like Central Market or Whole Foods, in the perfume section, and you can just decant stuff into that. I did that for the giant 20-ounce Cologne Pour Une Âme as well. But 4711 is just medicine. It's just necessary to have around. And I love spraying it on as just a little invigorating mental activity if I'm really drunk or something, and I'm ugh, I need to get myself together, and I just spray on some 4711. It has this makes your back get straighter, but the lack of lasting power is a feature. It's just I like that. It
doesn't bother me at all. I would spray a fuck ton on me, but word to the wise, for anyone listening, don't fucking put fucking cum splotches of it all over your shirt, because they'll show depending on what shirt it is.
Yeah, you have to wear if you're gonna spray perfume on your clothes, it should probably be black clothes. Yeah. Which is something that I heard Lindsay Lohan saying in her Into the Gloss interview. And Lindsay Lohan is hugely into perfume, and she loves the Daphne Guinness perfume. And she says something schizo I wear 10 different perfumes at a time, and I wear men's stuff and all this. And she's also Hollywood's last great chain smoker that smokes all the time.
Of course, Lindsay Lohan rules. I don't know much about her these days, but I'm not surprised. She's awesome.
But I remember she said, if I'm wearing black, I'll spray my clothes. And I always think of that.
Yeah. But anyway, I have 4711. I have Opium. I have Eden. I have a lot. Gucci Rush is a huge one for me.
Oh yeah,
that's what I was mixing up with Happy for some reason. Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, I love Gucci Rush because I asked you what has. I sent you a clip from Hitch, Jack, the movie Hitch from I forgot what year, early 2000s with Will Smith, and I said. It was like a scene in a bar with some like weird lounge techno playing. And I was like, what has this vibe? Because I need this vibe to make music. And I need to do like satanic rituals to make music with a perfume that smells like this. And you said Gucci Rush. And I spray that all the time. That and Eden are my big ones.
Eden is very underrated.
Excellent.
It's so strange. It's like nothing else. The combination of like wet, damp patchouli and then like fabric softener and then it's very weird.
If I spray another perfume and it isn't really hitting right, I just spray some Eden on top of it and it just like makes everything smell good.
What does your girlfriend think of all these perfumes showing up in the house?
She loves it.
That's great.
She stole my bottle of Poison because I don't wear it that much because I can't think of many situations in which to wear it. But she wears it a lot. She bought Angel. She loves the Angel. And then she bought another Cacharel. What's the Cacharel in the red bottle?
Oh, red bottle. I don't know. That must be one of the newer ones.
It's like a rose thing. Yeah, it's something from when she was younger that she loved. And she saw that I got Eden and was like...
Scarlet. Wow. Is it that? I'm just going based on the name.
Maybe. I don't remember.
There's actually... Cacharel shows up in Legally Blonde when she's in the hair salon and she's reading a magazine. You see an ad for Cacharel Noah on the back of the magazine.
Oh, no way. Mm-hmm. That rules. But yeah, so she's totally happy with all that. She loves all that stuff. I mean, she'll spray mine on. She'll wear she's all about it. So
it is
amazing.
Hard to find a time to wear Poison. My most concentrated Poison wearing was when I was playing bar gigs. I would always wear Poison. That was always like the best time to do it.
Excellent. Yeah, I could see that. Like going out and being on like you're on a stage and you're gonna be near people, but like in front of them, and they might smell it. It's just so strong.
Yeah, and back then you could smoke in bars.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming to people. Like I wore it to work once. It's just like nobody said anything, but I just felt weird about it. You know.
It's pretty frightening. I remember when I was like perfume pilling my boyfriend early on, I like bought Poison and he loves The Hand That Rocks the Cradle as everyone does. And Poison makes an appearance in that scene. And then he like went around spraying like all the like light bulbs with it. And then he was like, I feel sick. Ever since then, I like, I only wear the Poison when I'm like leaving for work or whatever. I remember one time I was like just in this like stupor, like watching Snow White and spraying Poison on myself. And he was like, can you not spray any more of that? It's the tuberose ones that get him. So like Fracas and Carnal Flower and
Amarige.
He hasn't said anything about Amarige, but the legacy of tuberoses in the house that's kind of the only thing. He's really, really, generous and compliant and doesn't care about my weird hobby that much, but the tuberoses
they're intense, man. They're
really intense.
They feel like cartoons. Like every what did we do the other week that was a tuberose?
This has been like tuberose month. There was the tuberose criminal, Fracas, and then this recently.
Man, but like all of them feel like some sort of cartoon is hanging out with you.
And it's just of such a presence in the room.
I'm gonna need something like. Do I have anything like this?
Amarige is a tuberose.
Yeah,
I don't have Amarige.
You do. That's what I sent you.
Oh wait, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that's the perfume of the episode.
I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah.
And Poison has a bit. It's not like a real. I don't know.
So what am I smelling? That's a tuberose right now. I just sprayed more of it.
So
what?
Amarige is like a kitchen sink 90s floral with 50,000 ingredients, but it's by and large a big synthetic tuberose that's like bolstered by soapy tobacco notes.
It's so delicious.
It's delicious. It's beautiful. But this one is notorious for, in the Luketic guide, they give it 1 star and talk about how nauseating it is, and it's the most evil thing that ever lived.
Really?
But they also put it in the best loud perfumes category.
Really?
Not only do they...
I'm going to buy a bottle of this.
You should. I did.
Yeah.
I bought a bottle. Not only do they, like, tear at a new one, but they say that it's almost great. And even though I don't agree, I
love
really
almost
like
great.
this stuff. It is. I understand what they're getting at with almost great.
It reminds me of myself. I'm going to buy it. I'm almost great.
But they're also... they're older, so they're speaking from a place where
it was new.
A certain type of woman would be wearing this fragrance. And you can tell that with like a lot of his reviews. It's like he hates certain perfumes because they were popular with a type of ditzy woman, but no one wears Amarige anymore. So like, when I sprayed it on for the first 10,000 times, I was like, wow, this is really just beautiful. And I understand how this became a huge hit. It's from 1991. It's by Dominique Ropion, who also did Carnal Flower. And it's one of these early 90s perfumes that carries over the spirit of 80s perfumes before everything became clean, minimalist, aquatic.
But it bridges the 80s by being loud, but the fact that it has so much ISO E-Super, it's verging on, to my nose, it's verging on mink territory. With the amount.
Is. That's true. Tresor is like that as well. Tresor has tons of ISO E-Super, and Tresor
what is ISO E-Super?
It's in like
just
everything.
An ingredient? It's an ingredient.
It's a woody aroma chemical that it smells different in different contexts. Most famously, it's eccentric molecules. Molecule 1 is just ISO E-Super in isolation, and lots of people wear that. It's popular because
just to know what it is.
It's popular because even though it's extremely strong and, to my nose, like nose piercing and unavoidable and overpowers other ingredients, it has this like ambient quality that doesn't feel like perfume to people. So it just feels like, oh, this room smells like cedar. It has a cedary scent.
A cedary scent, I see.
But it also like is something employed to make fragrances shine as this kind of like additional level of polish, like aldehydes or something else that was used in this way.
Yeah, it's like
whatever this Amarige is, I mean, it does shine. I mean, it just smells so good. I'll spray it on myself while I'm at my computer. I mean, I have had it at my computer since you gave it to me, and I don't know, it just makes me feel good. I'll spray it on myself, and like, it doesn't have any qualities that like Eden has, but I really like it, you know.
I think also a reason that it gets so much hate is that the concept is happy and sunny and like blonde, and those perfumes with that concept are generally like less popular. Like stuff like Poison and like Magie Noir and Opium, where it has this like sinister, scary, dark artistic concept. Everybody can get into that. I think it's cool. But Amarige is this like sunny, beautiful, like marriage oriented, you know.
You know what? That vibe's gotta go, dude. Like the dark, it's over.
Yeah, I mean,
like
just like constant
goth,
minor keys.
Like goth vibes have gotta go.
Yeah, like the Billie Eilish is like the best example of like where,
I mean,
where
that's the death of
darkness
it.
ended up.
That's the death of it right there. Yeah. I mean, just why bother? Why bother being like the dark, sinister, cool? I mean, over the 2010s, everybody had like more. Increasingly, everybody had to be cool, you know, to the point where even like the most normal person has to be cool. You know, they have to be some form of quote unquote cool.
This is something I was thinking of, not to jump ahead to the movies, but like the popular girls, the Delta News. Like,
oh yeah,
what would what would the version of that be nowadays? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they still exist and you see them, but like they are abandoned by pop culture. Like they're viewed as a problem. Like I see those girls. Stacy's are so nice. Like genuinely hot people.
They
like Hollywood,
nice.
Hollywood has sold this image of this false idea of like hot, popular, rich people being mean.
No, they're like Elle Woods.
Like hot, feminine Stacy girls are so nice to everyone.
Yeah, they're like Elle Woods. They're fucking perfect, and it's like the people in high school. I was thinking about this the other day. Like the people in high school who are like kind of autistic nerds who are like off to the side are typically very bad, mean people who are angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Misfits, rotten,
Yeah.
and they start shilling communism.
Yeah.
Because they're rotten, as we covered on last episode. It attracts rotten characters.
Yeah.
And actual hot people are like kind to everyone. That There's Roald Dahl physiognomy chart that's from, I think, The Witches, about how, like, you can tell if someone is, like, everyone good is beautiful. Even if they're ugly, it's, like, a kind of beauty. Like, they look like they were cast as an ugly person in a movie.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so true. You can just instantly see this and tell this about people. And this is something you have to learn because you're conditioned to think that no one's appearance reflects their moral character, but it turns out it really does. And if people have that innate ugliness inside themselves, they're rotten. They're like Ellsworth Toohey from The Fountainhead. They're just like but Amarige, the whole concept of like happiness and also that it's loud happiness.
It smells like loud happiness. I love it.
It's beautiful. It
makes me feel good inside, just like Eden does.
It makes me think of Steel Magnolias too.
Yeah.
Like that moment where church, going to Baptist church in the early 90s, if women weren't wearing eternity, they were probably wearing something like this. So this image of loud, kind of southern, gaudy happiness is something that's really hard for people to get now because everybody can understand the appeal of like loud darkness, loud gothic darkness, such as you see in Poison. You know, because everybody thinks that like goth stuff is cool, which it is, but loud happiness is an emotion that is not popular right now.
Okay, goth stuff is cool. Goth stuff is cool, but it has had such a moment that it's gotta go.
No, there has to be something new because the whole 2010s is like descended from these. It's basically from Lana Del Rey and Yeezus. Like everything is this kind of like pale imitation of Lana Del Rey and Yeezus, and it keeps getting worse and worse. But it's that, and also Britney's Blackout. But it's the same kind of like doomful gothic tone that's everywhere.
It's just so deeply over.
Well, I mean, like, so I think I've said this on the pod before, but one thing that like the internet, since the emergence of the iPhone, like the internet as we know it today, of the last 10 years, one thing that I have learned from that is that literally everyone like feels like an outcast or an other in some way, and everyone, so the knowledge, like everyone learning that everybody feels in some way an outcast, it seems like we all like grabbed onto the previous signifiers of outcastness.
You're right. The signifiers of outcastness that are not relevant anymore and don't exist anymore.
Yeah, because what we found is different than being a goth person in 1984. Like the kind of like alienation or whatever that like every human being probably ever in the history of the world has felt is you can't just grab on to being like a metalhead in the 80s and say, oh, that expresses my alienation. Like,
it's like how the scene that we inhabit with like the trad people, it's all about becoming a fake version of a Chad or a Stacy. Which is not real. Like, if you're an actual Chad or a Stacy, number one, you're not on Twitter. You don't even know that politics exist.
Yes.
But like all these like, you know, the Bronze Age pervert kind of like all this like trad kind of like actually, you know, reclaiming conventional masculinity and like they use Chad like frat boy type imagery and clothing as signifiers in the way that people used to use gothic clothing.
That's definitely the case. Yeah, they do use it. Yeah, that's so true. They're like using I mean,
but you're not a Chad because you started working out because you went on Twitter. You're still a loser.
It's like, it's kind of cool though. I mean, like,
no, I mean it is cool, but
it's kind of cool how it's like, it's like Elle Wood's fucking like gothness. You know, it's like what we were just talking about.
Well, both of those movies have like a Stacy, a popular, happy, energetic person who who becomes an outcast in another situation.
Lesbian Dr. Zhivago, communist bureaucrats.
It's like an inversion of.
These are like the two movies that like they saw the future of what this would be. You know,
they totally did. It's absolutely the present moment. Like these movies are so prescient that it's
what's
chilling.
Going on.
Surrounded by haters.
Surrounded by haters. Just brown lesbianism. I love the anti-lesbian undercurrent that runs through all of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them. You know, it's really great. It's like what's Bap's famous line about like the lesbian lesbian overlords, mulleted lesbian overlords. But it really is that played out. But yeah, the essential puzzle of Amarige is this is something that is kind of widely despised because it's an image of happiness and normalcy, and it's loud.
Well, people make fun of major chords. Exactly, it's actually harder to write a happy major chord song than it is to write a downcast gothic minor key song.
If you write something sad, it's like gonna it's like this. It's like what happened. It's like how people over like I don't know. It's like how people would write. What do you call them? Memoirs. You guys remember the sad memoir phase of whatever bookstores?
Like the fake child abuse pornography ones?
Yeah, it was all just. Oh, I just
child
remember.
Called It. The heart is deceitful above all things.
Those are perennial favorites.
That's what I mean.
Because everybody loves child porn in a socially acceptable context where it's presented as self-help.
And everybody feels abused in some way.
This is what exactly. And like, it is exactly like that. It's like the all those books that were what do you call it, like Running with Scissors and shit, and fucking there was so many
little pieces.
A million little pieces. It was all just like My life is so bad porn.
And
And
it's
a lot
so
of it,
funny.
like you said, was child porn.
Yeah, like The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things, which I quite like, both the Ozzy Argento adaptation of it and the original book. There are these documentaries about that Laura Albert, the J.T. Leroy woman, that kind of, as documentaries do now, present her as this sort of woke, like it was a troll on her part the whole time because she's a smart woman. No, it wasn't. She was a loser. But no, she was, as someone who has 3 years experience editing erotic romance novels for women, written entirely by women, published by women, and read by women, it's all rape fantasies. All that they write and all they want to consume. There's no man, there's no patriarchy making this happen. It
arose naturally.
It arose naturally, and that,
and it's the biggest segment of the publishing industry.
Yeah,
other than YA stuff, which is essentially a variation.
But it's so funny.
Dude, same shit.
It's
YA
funny to me
where
that
shit stays alive.
Whenever all those books were like revealed as being fiction, like people's acceptable enjoyment of it hinged on it having been real. So it's actually more morally correct for the child to have been raped than that it's made up and that they're just reading pornography. It's bizarre.
I would have been much happier if that child had been raped.
Yeah.
To bring up the major chord happy song analogy again, Amarige is quite an achievement because like the danger and the fear with the major chord happy song is that it'll be cheesy or too on the nose or silly. So to pull off something sunny and yellow and bright and major chord and happy that is also like sophisticated and beautiful and made to be popular is quite an achievement.
That needs to be somehow flipped on its head. The fact, like the worry that a happy thing will be cheesy needs to be somehow flipped on its head, where it'll be the worry that a sad thing will be cheesy. And that will change stuff.
Do synthesizers, by their very nature, sound more not better, but like do they like make you do minor key stuff? What is it? Something about the tonalities?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the stuff I did for Ghost Shield.
You do a lot of major key video game type stuff, but you know how like when you sit down and play a synth, you like go like like it just makes you do that somehow. Yeah. Is that history or is that the nature of the tones? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of feels right. Maybe like a Pink Floyd-esque type situation will be the way forward for the major key. I don't know.
Like Amarige has a lot of Baroque, decadent darkness to the smell, though. It's
does
like
it?
I actually think it does because it's so like Christmassy. Like I see how it's presented.
Pudding.
By the way, I'm spraying this on my fucking face.
It never goes away either. It lasts through showers.
So I can really smell it.
But Jack, you called it Christmas pudding. I get salt caramel taffy in the back, like on the molars in the back of your teeth.
I get salt. There's something salty, savory, like fishy caviar in this. Yeah. That's like that cum note in Givenchy Gentleman. There is something weird and slightly fishy about this, underlying all the fruits and florals and everything.
You guys have such like developed palates for this, because like I don't know, my brain doesn't work this way. I'm trying to think about it, but it just smells beautiful to me.
Well, that's what's important. That's why it's a success. Only like freaks like me would see this image of like black caviar or something. But there is, I've seen it remarked on in some reviews where they say women who wear this just smell dirty sometimes. There is something.
I'm buying a bottle 100%.
I bought the biggest bottle. It's so beautiful. I
I
love
put a
holding it in my
serious
hand.
dent. I got a little one. I got like, I don't know, like just the $40 one. I put a pretty serious dent in this. So
I almost finished the tester in the first day. I had to like stop spraying it.
Very white. Turin derisively calls it white cowboy boots.
White cowboy boots?
Steel
he's
magnolias.
talking
Think of
about
steel
someone.
magnolias.
Yeah.
That whole like too muchness, like 1990 Southern gaudy too muchness.
Dude,
Sounds
this is
terrific.
like my favorite ISO E super focused thing right now. I found it's a weird thing to say that ISO E super is refreshing because like that when I smell cologne and perfume out and about, it's always the synesthetic ISO E super image that I detect. But right when I sprayed this on the sample you gave me, I was like, ISO E super, this is so refreshing somehow. Like that, I don't know. That
Yeah, it's used in the same way that it's used in Tresor. But the Christmas pudding Baroque darkness that I get, there's all this fruit piled on, but also the fact that it's a tobacco fragrance. It has this strong odor of tobacco. And it has like a smoky kind of quality as well, but really it has the same
does, yeah.
that fruity prune smell of tobacco.
Yeah, it does have a weird tobacco like savor. I don't know. It smells. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just blowing it up onto my face.
this
like,
one, I feel like I talk about teeth a lot when I talk about fragrance, but this one is the back of the mouth, one of the back corners of the mouth.
It's
Yeah, I feel it.
I hadn't smelled it in a while, and then I ordered this bottle and was entranced by it, but the images it was giving me were all like fall, like Halloween, like clove studded pudding type wintry stuff, which I had not previously placed it in that category.
And it just
I can kind of feel that. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, this is
It's
good.
just it's brilliant because on the surface level it appeals on it just smells good and it smells sophisticated to anyone who doesn't know anything about perfume. It has this instant appeal, a nice top-down design with a memorable name, memorable bottle, memorable ads of women grinning and the hair and it's very happy, but also it has this underlying caviar strangeness.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. It's more complex than just what it feels like on the surface.
Yeah, it's complex. There's no moss.
There is no moss. I don't know if that's probably also a reformulation thing. I haven't smelled an old Amarige, but like the basic synthetic structure of it that just plows through smells exactly the same to me.
Giorgio is a tuberose, but sometimes, quite often, Giorgio is like a smoldering moss pot.
Giorgio's mossy.
Yeah, but this has none of that. I don't know. I love the smoldering cauldron of moss, and I have been thoroughly enjoying no smoldering cauldron with this stuff. Caramel salt teeth. It combines with extra sugar-free gum, both peppermint and polar ice, to be really salty.
Yeah, the trademark family gum flavor, extra polar ice, which I chew all day as well. The Starbucks French roast and the extra polar ice.
You guys just like hit the gum that hurts your mouth.
It's so nice because the freshness is so aggressive.
I feel you, yeah.
Polar ice is like the Amarige of perfumes or of gums.
Speaking of freshness, I've been drinking Evian, and I have to run to the restroom.
Okay, let's take our break. Leave everything running.
I do too.
Yeah, leave everything running. Don't stop a thing. We'll be back.
I've had to piss for quite a while, so yeah. And I have to. I'm at my mother's house, like I said. She got home. I got here when she wasn't here. She got home sometime while I've been down here, and I need to go say hello.
Also, just like you can walk away and piss, and like that's a. That's fine because these episodes are so long. Okay.
Hey, I'll go for 6 hours. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, if I don't remember, don't stop anything. But let's take a look at your battery when we come back.
Which battery?
Your field recorder.
It's at 3 bars.
Beautiful.
All the way up.
All right.
Yeah, I just changed. Okay. I put new batteries that I just bought in right before I got here.
All right, don't stop a thing. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I'm back too.
Amarige. Amarige is also funny because it's a fake French word.
It doesn't mean anything?
No, the French word for marriage is mariage, which this is just like a rearrangement of that, but it's fake French.
Are there commercials? I didn't look.
Yeah, Berto found one actually.
Oh, duh. Yeah, I did look because I watched that one.
Yeah, it's all like women smiling and their hair flowing back and they're laughing because they're popular and they have everything figured out.
I'm sorry I ambushed you with the theme song.
Oh no, it's really funny. I thought it was like my phone playing something by mistake.
I've also got, and oh wait, sorry, yeah, you didn't hear that. I've got, and yeah.
Wait, what else do you have?
I have I have all the core TPN sounds. I've got the
safe,
the beep. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
And I've got the
I can't hear that.
You can't hear that?
What is it?
Can you hear that?
Oh, the Dune, the ending.
You can't hear this?
Yeah, I hear it now.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that because we never know when things end. But I don't know. I don't. The tendency to like just have these soundboards just because you can.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey.
You guys are both back. Fuck. I took too long. My mom said when I went up to her, she said that I smell woodsy.
Right. That makes sense.
She said something about sandalwood, and she said something about woodsy.
People say that when I wear Tresor, too. They're like, I like your sandalwood scent.
That's it.
Yeah, if you take it out of context and put it on a boy, people perceive it differently.
That's so funny. But yeah, like she was saying, I even said perfume when I walked up to her, and she said something about, she said stuff that didn't sound feminine.
I really think there should be like an outreach type program to get like moms to listen to Perfume Nationalist, because people have reported that their mothers really like it. Like their heterosexual sons suddenly come at them talking about Knots Landing and all of this. And
that's so funny.
So like they remember when the Perfumes were around, and they remember all these shows that form like the overall framing device of TPN.
And they bond in a new way with their sons, and their relationship is like enhanced in a way that was previously not possible.
Literally saving the world.
This is why I'm happy you're at your mom's house.
Yeah, I'm actually really, I like it. The way it worked out is just so, I mean, it's God, you know? He made this happen.
He does. He does. He makes it happen. And he makes good people triumph over bad, which is what both of these movies are about.
Oh, that's so true. That is literally what these movies are about.
Let's talk about True Beverly Hills first.
Okay.
So you wanted to do a Legally Blonde episode, and I've always been a huge fan of Legally Blonde since I saw it. Summer 2001. immediately before 9/11, when the present day started and everything became like a bureaucratic monitoring eternal war nightmare. That was like the summer where I had like a new level of freedom. I was in 7th grade or going into 7th grade, and like everybody's parents were kind of like okay with dropping you off to go to movies all day. So I saw everything, and all of these franchises are still with us. Like I saw the first Fast and the Furious, and like Pootie Tang. I'm one of the like 3 people who saw Louis C.K.'s Pootie Tang in the theater, which also has Jennifer Coolidge in it.
Wait, Louis C.K. had something to do with Pootie Tang? What?
He directed it. And
that's weird as fuck.
My friends and I were like hyped up to see it because the trailer was playing before everything. We thought it was hilarious, and then it played for literally one weekend. And it's still my favorite thing Louis C.K. has ever done.
It's gotta be the best thing he's ever done. I've never even seen it, and I know that it's the best thing he's ever done. But like, my brother used to love Pootie Tang.
Yep, I saw it. That's when on my gravestone they can put he saw Pootie Tang in the theater. But True Beverly Hills, if you want to know what perfume nationalism is, or the roots of everything that I think and fetishize and talk about on this show, it all comes from this. All of it. This is probably the most influential like movie of any that I was obsessed with as a child. Like this,
it's so good.
It formed my fixation on the aesthetics of the 80s, on like my association of like adulthood as being this like Jackie Collins like wall-to-wall carpet, like high fashion 80s Beverly Hills like cigarette holder type of thing. Yellow stripes. It features more Giorgio Beverly Hills than any other movie ever. They show the actual shop 1 million times. They do the cookie time charity thing. In front of that, there's Giorgio bags everywhere. They're camping gear that
the whole cookie time like School of Rock scene.
Cookie time.
The whole School of Rock scene is done.
Where she's dressed as Tina Turner.
That's so funny, yeah. It's the black girl.
And the little girls are going around as like cigarette girls selling cigarettes, and like the food is catered by Spago. Like this is really
as soon as I saw that like the wholesome like wonderful mother smoke. I mean, I guess she's not wholesome, but like as soon as I saw that I guess she is. But like as soon as I saw that the wonderful mother in the movie, who's supposed to represent like the goodness, smokes a bunch, I was like, this is so Jack.
Yeah,
I can't believe how
why
much
I smoke.
Smoking is in this. I also can't believe that it's from 89 because I thought it was earlier. I thought it was like 86, 87 because it was like such an ambient part of my growing up experience. Like it was always there and playing. I thought it was earlier.
Anything that seems like it's solidly 80s, anything that seems like it's very solidly from the decade that it seems like it's from, I always assume is from the later part of that decade. And,
right.
Yeah.
Because this is also like satirizing and kind of lightly making fun of the whole dynasty and like lifestyles of the rich and famous elements of the 80s that had become popular. And you know, even in 1989 when this came out, like the aesthetics of this would have seemed, if not like openly funny or like something to mock, it would have just seemed like an extreme version of something slightly dated. Like you see the transition into 90s movies, like Pretty Woman is perfectly on the cusp, where Pretty Woman is 1990 and it's high 80s. Everything you look at it is high 80s. And then after that, every other Julia Roberts movie is early 90s, Back to Nature, sandals, paper bag waist jeans, brown braided makeup, braided belts.
With every other decade, I assume that the early part of the previous decade is very the decade before it. Like in the early 70s, like the early to mid 70s, I always assume are going to be pretty 60s. And like the early to mid 60s, I assume are going to be pretty 50s. But with the 90s, I always am like, this is like, there was like a big change at some point, like a huge change at some point.
Yeah,
like,
massive.
I don't know if it was 92 or something, but like at some point.
I feel like things only really cemented in the what we recognize as the 90s look by like 94, 5, 6.
Okay.
Because like Singles, which is thought of as like the Seattle grunge Gen X movie, it still looks 80s as hell. They're wearing like shoulder pads and stuff.
I see. So there was. So I'm totally wrong. There was like a. There was.
No, you're
like
right. Like the first like 5 years of every new decade, it looks like the previous decade.
But I was wrong about the 90s. Like there was a transition period. I always assumed about the 90s. It seemed to me that about the 90s and the 80s that there was like this crazy switch.
Yeah, but there's always a transition period.
There was in the 90s. Though.
Like Clueless occurs like in the middle between these two movies, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like firmly 90s.
Yeah, that's firmly 90s.
Compared to both of these.
When did Clueless come out?
Like
96.
Yeah.
96? Okay, well that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense that 96 would be solidly 90s, but I would assume that like 93 would be solidly 90s, but apparently I'm wrong.
I was haunted by these images as a kid of like her bedroom with that curtained bed, all this like mauve, like or like rosy, dusty rose carpet, this color everywhere, like
painting on the wall behind the bed.
The Chipmunk Adventure, the villain in that, voiced by Susan Terrell, also has. She smokes and she has like a bed that looks like that. So I developed this fixation on like padded headboards and like curtains around beds. It just the whole vibe of this. Stephanie Beacham from Dynasty and the Colbys, who plays the romance author that's obviously supposed to be Jackie Collins.
Oh my god, I love the romance author character.
She's amazing. But that put this image in my head of like, wow, the 80s were like the best time to be an adult ever, because this is just crazy. And like these 80s chicks were still around as late as like the early 2000s. Like I had some like original 80s like working women that still wore shoulder pads and had perms as late as like 2001.
I feel like it died the second that like scene happened, because it was like a revival, you know? The second that the scene thing happened, which was like an 80s revival, then like it had to be dead.
Yeah, like Electroclash and like early hipster, which was the first time. People don't understand, like the 80s has been the defining aesthetic and influence for the last like 15 years.
It really has. I mean, not only, I mean, it's been the defining aesthetic since the 90s died.
But it was genuinely embarrassing to listen to 80s stuff. Like when I got into Madonna, when I bought the early Madonna albums, I was embarrassed at the synthesizer sound. Like it was corny.
Yeah, this is true, and this is, like you said, really difficult for the youngsters to understand. But like people, especially with music, man, people would be like, I just don't like the 80s.
Hey, I remember thinking that synthesizers were gay and lame.
There you go.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's impossible to explain that it was embarrassing for someone like me who even in like 9th grade was all about like, I love crazy art and every incense and perfume and all this, you know, patchouli. Like it was physically recoiling, like embarrassing to put on the first Madonna album and hear like Lucky Star. And I was like, what if someone hears me listening to this?
When I think of my childhood, I think when I heard a synthesizer, it had to be like 70, it had to be like Pink Floyd trippy. Mm-hmm. Otherwise it was lame as hell.
Right. And now people don't like Pink Floyd. So it's like,
yeah, that's funny.
People don't like rock music, and Pink Floyd has totally changed.
Yeah.
And Pink Floyd is great.
They're excellent. And so is rock music. And so is synthesizer music.
the discourse around Shelley Long. Okay, I've never watched Cheers, but
she had left Cheers by this point.
She had famously left Cheers, right?
Is this the main character of True
Phyllis
Beverly
Neffler.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
And the comeback with Lisa Kudrow, that character, Valerie Cherish, was like largely based on her, and you can tell this by how she looks and how she talks and everything. But Shelley Long in this movie is a fucking knockout. She's gorgeous.
Yep.
Like nobody ever talks about this. This is one of the greatest.
She's a very, very beautiful woman
with that orange hair. Oh my god.
Yeah.
She looks stunning, and this is one of the greatest fashion movies ever made as well. All of the outfits.
Oh yeah, her outfits are insane.
With that like pink like taco thing that she's wearing at the first.
That's the one I think of.
And all of the costumes were designed by Theodora von Runkel, I think is her name, who was a Hollywood costume designer nominated for many Oscars. She famously did the outfits for Bonnie and Clyde.
Nice.
But the costumes in this are stunning.
Completely insane too. I mean, they're completely out of control insane.
It feels like a 30s movie, and this is one of these late 80s movies like Working Girl and Pretty Woman that feel like screwball comedies of the 30s, where you have these like sophisticated, like fast talking woman characters wearing like avant-garde outfits. It's like a total throwback to old Hollywood, and it's really successful. And I couldn't believe rewatching it this time. Every single line is spot on brilliant. Like, this is better writing than anything like Aaron Sorkin or like any like famous like screenwriter or whatever has ever done. Every line of True Beverly Hills is fucking like etched in
solid
stone.
Yeah, so good. I watched it. I've only seen it one time, and it was this weekend. So
it's the same plot as we've said of Legally Blonde, where a Stacy, a feminine, hot, popular chick, is being besieged by ugly, lesbian, grade grubbing haters who wear like brown.
Yep.
And she succeeds, and she doesn't surrender any of her femininity. She stays entirely herself. She is genuinely like creative and brilliant. All of the ways. So the basic plot is that she's a Beverly Hills housewife who is separated from her hot ass husband, Craig T. Nelson, living in a giant mansion. She's never done anything with her life. She tries to like attach herself to various charities and everything, and then she decides to be her daughter's Girl Scouts troop leader. They're called Wilderness Girls in the movie, and the Wilderness Girls establishment is run by Velda Plender, who is played by Betty Thomas, who's amazing. She directed the Brady Bunch movie, with which also has Shelley Long, and which I'm a huge fan of. But she's the like lesbian bureaucrat villain that just like schemes to destroy the Stacy. And Phyllis Neffler shows up to the first Wilderness Girls meeting, like smoking a cigarette and like a breakfast at Tiffany's cigarette holder. The association of smoking with like good people is just amazing.
Out of time.
I love that. Yeah, that.
And
like I said,
true.
that is one of the main. Yeah, like I said, that is one of the main things where I was like, "This is so Jack." It feels so Jack because it's like, yeah, the smoking is like a sign of goodness and beauty
and truth. Yeah. And authenticity. And
yeah.
So she gets her like ragtag team of Beverly Hills Girl Scouts together, and they're all amazing. They're like, the Asian one is the daughter of like an Asian dictator.
The kids are really good. Yeah, the kids are good.
Yeah, there's the
only one who says anything bad about smoking is the artsy fartsy smarty pants daughter of the film director, right?
Tessa.
No one else
That
says
makes
anything.
sense.
Yeah, she's like all into psychology, and she's obviously like a lefty.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
The character design for the girls is amazing.
They even have the lib infiltrator.
When they're all shown reading magazines, and like, you know, the like Jewish red-haired one is reading Mad Magazine, and the Asian daughter of the dictator is reading Soldier of Fortune. And when it introduces them all, and like the Asians roll up and in their limo, and Shelley Long says, "Dictator, Mrs. Dictator." And then the who else? Chica, Carla Gugino, who
Chica, who gets
by the way,
who gets a enchilada for her birthday.
Oh my god, that's so insane! I was laughing my fucking ass off when the
Chica,
when the fucking Mexican like when.
Her parents are gone, and they forgot her birthday.
Her parents forgot her birthday, and the Mexican maid makes her a burrito for her birthday.
Oh my god, it's incredible. Rosa the maid is great when she's crying because they're getting divorced. She's like, Rosa, are you getting divorced or I am? You know,
she cares so much about their divorce. What a wonderful lady. I love her so much.
Oh, but she got like, okay, Carla Gugino used to stay at the hotel I worked at all the time, and I would always flip out because of True Beverly Hills. I was like, oh, I would tell everyone, I was like, that's Carla Gugino, Chica from True Beverly Hills. And I would like talk to her, and she was really lovely and nice and like a truly like glamorous, nice person.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like freaking out of this like role she took when she was like 14 years old.
That's so funny, man.
The daughter is Jenny Lewis from Rilo Kiley, right?
Right. Lots of famous faces in this. Tori Spelling.
I don't know any of these people.
You don't know? You're like a 2000s music person. Rilo Kiley was 2000s hipster.
What was she?
She's
a chick who plays guitar, and
she's like a sad voiced chick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sort of like
she was an indie goddess.
David Lynch vibes light.
No, I don't think I was that cool, honestly.
It's not very cool.
It's not cool, but it was like an ambient thing that was around.
I see. Well, it's just not something I know about then.
But yeah, she became like a 2000s like.
That's funny. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate any 2000s indie queen. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The fact that she shows up, you know, not that there's anything wrong with it. It was just one of those things where I was like, you know, of course, these people have like connections in all these different industries.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. You always find it out that somebody's the daughter or the son of someone. The literal only person in like history to just do it all on their own is Madonna. Like, it's insane. Because Madonna's the most famous woman who ever lived. And probably has more global impact than any woman who ever lived. And Madonna was just like suburban Italian, Detroit, Michigan, white trash who had no connections. And fucked enough guys in New York and like was this weirdo for a long time and eventually
you know what,
took
though?
off.
Those days are over. I think those days are over.
The days of people with connections being able to impose themselves on us through their
I think that's done unless they completely ruin the internet, which they're like on an insane crusade to do.
But that's all the people that we like operate amongst. All those leftist journalist weirdos.
Yeah. Well,
all of those people are revealed at some point to have like enormous familial wealth or have some weird connection to, you know, like.
I still think those days are over. I don't know. I just have hope that those days are over. I think that you and I and like the other people in this scene are like gonna do something that they can't stop is all.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I love that like we also incorporate people who are associated with legitimate Hollywood people like Amanda Milius and Sam Dennis. They're both but they're descendants of like renegade directors. It's like and they just happened, they just like came into my life. It's just.
I do think that's really cool. Yeah.
And I do, every time I get, like, when I saw
By the way,
him...
Sam is such a fucking sweetheart. I can't even believe it.
He's an angel.
I had to say that on air.
Literal angel.
Gotta say that on air. What a sweetheart.
And every time I get angry about something like that, like when I saw her name and then looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, of course it's that Jenny Lewis. Of course, part of it comes from jealousy, and I do applaud people who do really good work with their position. As I've mentioned before on the show, King Crimson was made possible by a loan from a benevolent uncle of thousands and thousands of pounds. So,
radical.
I don't know. Just because the default position, like on the internet, is when you find out that like a musician or whatever has family money, that like invalidates their work. I
don't have any problem with family money. I have a problem with family clout. Is what I have.
Well, they often run hand in hand, but it's I just hate the knee jerk reaction within me to be like, screw that person, because like if they're doing good stuff,
family clout won't stop bothering me, but family money doesn't bother me in any regard ever, because I have family money.
Okay, Lena Dunham was the most taken to task by the media for having this alleged family clout when she was one of the people with the least clout, because her parents are just they're like artists in New York. They're like seeing people in New York. But compared to like the connections that other people have, where they'll just be revealed to be like the great, like the grandson of Rupert Murdoch or what, just like something huge. Like they would just talk about the people on Girls because like Jemima Kirk was like the daughter of a musician and Badfinger, or I don't know if that's the band, some musician. And then Lena Dunham is the daughter of this guy who did weird pussy art. And it's like, that's not the kind of clout that, and also that clout doesn't produce like a remarkable product that people are constantly talking about. Like you can't fake that. But
it has to be a remotely household name.
Everything happens like, those kind of connections are how things happen. Yeah. So this whole idea of like, Peter Thiel is funding so-and-so, like, well, why wouldn't he? Because if somebody rich sees something good and they want to throw money at it, that's good. Like, that's how things have always happened. That's how art has always happened.
But like Jenny Lewis is I don't like her. But she's like talented. She's good in this movie. She's got good music. I do feel bad that my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, screw her. She has connections.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, it's not good to I don't know, just to like be bothered by that.
Yeah, it's all in what you do with it. As it goes along, Phyllis Neffler constantly comes up with inventive solutions to how she can, as a person who despises the wilderness and doesn't know anything about camping or any of this lesbian stuff, how she can get them the patches and succeed as a troop leader. And so she makes up new patches.
Fake patches.
About
divorce court patch?
Yes, about how to navigate the jungle of Beverly Hills. And so they go to like
jewelry appraisal.
Oh, it's amazing. Jewelry appraisal, what are the other patches? Yeah, it's
I can't even think of any other. I can think of divorce court and I can think of jewelry appraisal.
And they like the bureaucracy, the overarching mullet lesbian humorless bureaucracy is constantly trying to crush her. So they're like, these patches are not valid. But she's too popular to fail, and the audience response is constantly positive. And when it comes to selling cookies, okay, she sells like thousands and thousands of dollars of Girl Scout cookies by holding this Spago sponsored concert with the black girl dressed as Tina Turner, like a friend of the pod, Filthy Armenian, dressed as Tina Turner in blackface as a child, and Tina Turner dragged blackface as a child, and I think that's a running theme here. But yeah, the lesbian grade grubber bureaucrats are always just like, that's not valid. That's not how we do things around here.
And very consciously, when they really hatched the plot to infiltrate Troop Beverly Hills, when they're out doing target practice, don't they just look like Che Guevara communist soldiers?
Yes, shooting that dartboard at Phyllis's face. Yeah, they're communists. My anti-communist fervor is a new. I'm really into calling everything I hate communism, because it is.
Another anti-communist thing. One thing I remember from the movie that fits this theme is I really liked how they it seemed like they were sure to include a scene where the rich people were like, hey, why don't we just buy the cookies ourselves? You know?
Right.
Because they could have totally bought, like, they had to have the scene, of course.
And if they were Democrats, they would have just bought the cookies themselves.
That's so true.
That's what Democrats do all day. That's what I was thinking. The whole way that Velda rigs the competition at the end by cutting bridges and all this
themselves, and they would have been like,
that's what Democrats do now.
They would have been like, we bought the cookies ourselves and it's a victory for black people or some dumb shit, you know. No. But what they did instead was say, we can't buy the cookies, the kids need to learn a lesson and they need to have this experience.
So they had a big hype capitalist party, an ecstatic party, and sold all the cookies. People were throwing money at them because there was a demand.
And this is a capitalist excess movie. This is one of my friend Brooke, who's a huge influence, we would always talk in high school about capitalist excess movies of the late 80s. Gremlins 2 is another one. Big Business is another one. But this is one of these totally pro-capitalism movies.
By the way, it's so funny how fucking the Chapos made. They tried to claim Gremlins 2.
Well, fuck them. After Perfume Nationalist had existed for like 2 years already, everybody was like, let's talk about movies on our podcast. Because Bernie is gone. Like, fuck you.
But
fuck
anyway,
you, faggots.
Yeah, so true.
Everybody, I think, didn't Chapo do like a Camp of the Saints episode where they like read Camp of the Saints and were like horrified by it? I think they did.
I would not be surprised.
We still have a forthcoming Camp of the Saints episode when I get someone else to read it. But I
can't get the fucking book anymore.
I have 2 copies. You have to buy it whenever it becomes available. And it's one of these things. It's like Ayn Rand, like everybody tells you it's bad and you can't read it and you assume that it's associated with these bad people. But as soon as you read it, you realize how hilarious and how brilliant it is, and you can't resist it. Because the whole talk surrounding it is about how it's like this evil anti-immigration right-wing thing. But the same people all read Welbeck, which is the same thing. Yeah, because Red Scare shills Welbeck. When Welbeck is racist anti-immigration stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like new, so he's careful.
And he's French, so they can be like, oh, he's just French, you know. He's just French.
You know what? That's the reason that the French are so incredible in this day and age, and like that they're so great, because they've been like a shining example of like all of everything that we think, or that like they're willing to say the truth is all.
The French are right about anything. I'm a total Francophile, and
me too. Yeah,
they
were right before.
Today.
Honestly, they were right. They were right back in the day, and they're right now. So that's cool. Yeah.
French are my favorite culture. I'm an old school faggot that romanticizes France for good reason because they're right about things. And I'm really proud of the fact that we have one French fan who's
I love
NAG.
him. What?
He's amazing.
What's his
He's
name
like
on
22.
What's his name on Twitter?
It's NAG, ENA, like spelled out. But as soon as I learned he was like an actual like Frenchman.
Cool. Yeah, he's been so cool, and he's been like cool to Ghost Jill. He's been cool to Perfume Nationalist, and as soon as I saw on Twitter that he posted like a voice tweet, and I saw that he was French, and I was like, whoa, nice.
That was the ultimate validation for this like fat Texan faggot, was like someone in France is buying perfume and listening to me fucking talk into their ear.
Love that, yeah.
Texas and France are similar. They're similar countries.
I feel that, Texas is like the France of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The immigration problem is preventing that. Changing that, though. But
France
this is all about the whole...
The Mexicans could end up being very cool. We'll see.
No, I love Mexicans. It's just when they go to college and become radicalized into, they turn out AOC.
Like I said, we'll see.
No, I'm always thinking of like what race is the worst after they're put through the academia meat grinder and radicalized through wokeness. Mexicans are pretty bad. Black males who are literally buck broken. Once they go through that, like a normal, like masculine, like cool black man can go to college and then he emerges like Chris Tucker voice shrieking about racism, and they're turned gay.
What they do to them is just make them hate white people with every fiber of their being. It's so crazy.
But sometimes the artistic excellency like seeps through, like the Tariq Nasheed, even though it's like through this meat grinder of whatever
weirdness.
There's still that essential like cool black vision. that you can't really take away. And also the fact that thank God for black people still being openly homophobic, because nobody else is going to say it.
Black people are cool in so many ways, and like they have a culture that's so like they have a culture. That's what it is.
And I'm an honorary black person because I instinctively like strong perfumes and strong flavors, and they all like that. Like what was I wearing? I was wearing like vintage Magie Noir, and like 3 black men were like, "Yo, bro, what that cologne you got on?" It was amazing. They all like the good perfumes, but but the way that the Velda Plender and her lesbian communist operatives have to continually change the rules and rig the competition in order to win, cutting the bridges and everything. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's happening now with Democrats faking the election, pushing COVID, so it's eternal, as they need to, so it's eternal mail-in voting where no one knows anything is happening. And they literally have, and
that's
also
exactly
the COVID vaccination, as I was listening to like Amanda Milius's Breitbart, like an interview with her on Breitbart, and she was talking about how they are currently purging Republicans and right-wing people with the COVID vaccine requirement. So they're getting rid of anyone who doesn't adhere to their crazy ideology with this, and people like have to quit. Like the COVID stuff has made it so that
they finally have like a real dividing line they can use. That's like humanitarian.
And you can't explain it to normies. Like when they brought masks back at work this week, and you like to normal people. You cannot explain the whole COVID phenomenon. You sense with this new lockdown, new mask stuff, Delta variant.
Do customers still have to wear them?
No. See,
Okay,
it's
just
very...
you. It's just you.
No,
yeah, I've noticed
as
that.
usual, I was right the entire time when I said
You're
that
right, yeah.
they will be enforcing the masks through top-down corporate
Mm-hmm.
policy, which email job dippy
But
Democrats...
they still need their fucking clients, and those people are not fucking having it. I've noticed that in Illinois even. I'm going into a bunch of places, and like, you know, I think they have signs on the door. Some of them have signs on the door that say you have to wear the fucking mask, but nobody's doing it, and they're not going to tell you to do it.
People aren't enforcing it now, unless it's like a crazy Velda lesbian.
Yeah, but you have to wear it.
Yeah, that's why all the like Starbucks employees, all the McDonald's employees, if you're employed by a global corporation, they're going to make you wear that. And people say like, well, why does that matter? It's no small thing. No, 40 hours a week, a 40-hour work week is your entire life. Mm-hmm. That means you're wearing the mask your entire life. Yep. Email job people don't understand that. If like whatever, everybody has to like man up to a degree to have a job.
I can't even imagine working for the 40 hours that I, in quotes, work, let alone.
It's people just don't get it. They're like, why does it bother you? That's your entire life. If you work 40 hours a week, that's your whole life. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
So your whole life is masked.
Yeah.
But yeah, the communist rigging of all of this really resonated.
It's just
with
like
me.
it is what they're doing in the movie, The Red Feathers. They're rigging everything. Yeah. It's red. Yeah, it's red.
It's a total anti-communist movie. It's an anti-communist capitalist Stacy Perfume Nationalist movie.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's incredible. Like the entire ideology of Perfume Nationalism is contained in this movie.
It's so funny how they they're rigging everything,
including how good people just triumph. Like I'm essentially an optimist. Like I really believe that I don't have these like social fears that many people have of like, but what my liberal friends think about what I say. Like I don't have that. But the essential message of both of these movies is that good, authentic people who tell the truth and are charismatic triumph in the end. And I firmly believe in that. And like both of these movies are about people who were maybe like made fun of and like thought of as like kooky and like dumb or whatever, and a dumb blonde bimbo, you know, just does nothing. But they succeed by finding a way to be totally true to themselves, and
by being beautiful and correct
by radiating
about
beauty.
Everything. Yeah, by radiating beauty in every aspect.
This is really like corny and sincere, but like that, the fact that this podcast has like resonated with so many people, and that I have like random people like messaging me about like perfume from the 80s and everything that I like felt guilty about myself, where I was just like this wage cuck, like lame person, who wasn't succeeding at anything. Like the fact of like doing something good that people like, you know, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack, like you literally changed my life. And I'm just like somebody from Chicago, like who makes music and does shit. And everybody has this, a lot of people have the same story as me. Like, yeah, you changed a lot of people's lives, man. You should be proud of that.
No, and everything that I felt bad about myself for is just like, you know, this like sociopathic, like being too horny, being too weird, all of this. You know, I just finally, like, I'm 34 and I accept it, and it's just who I am, and, you know.
It's nice, man. It's great. You have changed so many people's lives. I mean, like, I have like a giant plate. My girlfriend had to buy me, like, a platter to put all my perfumes on, you know?
You make a piss
so
podcast.
I made a piss podcast, Jack. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, it's amazing.
So at the beginning of the movie, in the 80s, there was like a particular brand of 50s nostalgia, and I'm not talking about that. I meant to mention this earlier when we were talking about transitions in between the decades and the difference between the 80s and the 90s. The beginning, the John Kricfalusi animation is definitely looking forward to the 90s.
Oh my god.
It feels very The Nanny.
And that's my favorite Beach Boys album that like fit that
Still
late
Cruisin'?
80s. Still Cruisin', where it has Somewhere in Japan, which is about Mackenzie Phillips and John Phillips' incestuous relationship. But that Make It Big song and that John K animation with the early CGI of like the spinning caviar can, just absolutely incredible. And John K is a running theme in like everything that I like the Miley Cyrus Bangers tour, which I saw and which I've eternally championed. Like that had John K animations of her in the background that felt a lot like this and gave it this crazy psychedelic comedic feeling that I don't think people fully understand what was going on there. But yeah, that 80s version of the Beach Boys and that animation, it's just so much beauty. so much genuine artistry.
The song's all about making it big, and the actress's name is Shelley Long.
Totally. And the open display of wealth in the 80s is such a like big theme, because now it's always been forbidden for rich people to like talk about money. Like, someone's actually rich if they're nervous about talking about money. And the pop culture open displays of wealth and these like signifiers like fur coats and caviar and lobster, all of this stuff that's, I mean, not fur coats, but like caviar and lobster are like relatively cheap. Like I can eat caviar and lobster. But they became these like symbols of wealth in the 80s for TV shows that like working class people were watching, like Dynasty.
They also
and Dallas.
might have literally been more expensive in the 80s. One thing I noticed with True Beverly Hills is like the TV is the best example in these old things. When they show rich people's houses and you see like their TV, people who are much worse off have much better TVs nowadays. But there's a lot of stuff like that. Like things have gotten cheaper. It's just something I always think about, and I was thinking about when I was watching this movie. Like when you see some of the prized rich person signifiers in the 80s, and you compare them to the way the economy has completely changed now.
But the Dynasty 80s True Beverly Hills vision of wealth is like a rapper vision of wealth. It's what like lower class people who make it big and suddenly get a lot of money and are nouveau riche like that. That's what this kind of thing is. And Phyllis Neffler is a nouveau riche character. Like
Muffler's not. It's not. He's not a lawyer. He's not like in the entertainment business. Muffler.
She was clipping coupons to get him through law school. Yeah, her friends are like, more of the friends are like old wealth.
It is cool how the main characters are like, they are like whatever they did was not super, something that you would think of as impressive.
Yeah, it's just like the way that wealth is concealed today is the most like evil thing that I can think. It's really evil and disgusting that like these people, like AOC and Nancy Pelosi or whatever, like they're just trained to not signify that they have wealth in a certain way. And like wealth is not inherently bad, but this concealing of it for like political motives
and pretending to be one of the the workers. This is what I was trying to get at earlier with my comment about the Delta News like not existing, like just the
God,
simple like those same chicks, like the popular chicks would be, I mean, they were into the rainforest and stuff back then, but now it would be like, you know, Black Lives Matter, and like it would be hiding their wealth. This is what I was trying to get at. I'm not explaining myself well.
Stacy's still exist, and I remember in 2017, one of my coworkers who was like a blonde hot chick, some issue of like Trump came up, and she was like, she didn't understand why someone would not be able to like say that they supported Trump openly. Like, that's how disconnected from politics she was. She was like, oh, people don't like it when you say that you support Trump? Like, why would you even care?
Well, there's probably a house like that in College Station or something.
Yeah. But the classical vision of, the Delta News in Legally Blonde, I don't know what it looks like now. They probably all are obsessed with Democrat causes, but Legally Blonde, it's a movie that...
Oh, we gotta go on Legally Blonde. It's time.
I loved it. It's one of the most perfect movies ever made. Like,
it's
everything
my favorite
about
movie
it
in the world.
Just like True Beverly Hills, the script is brilliant and funny. All the performances are amazing. The costumes are amazing.
Yeah.
It's unusual. It was unusual for the time because it was originally supposed to be some sort of like horny, like post American Pie, like sorority girl, like wet t-shirt contest thing. Mm-hmm. And it became this strange, sweet story of like a Stacy sorority girl succeeding. And it has a definite like gay stamp to it. Like Robert Luketic, the director, is like a hot gay guy. And I remember...
Of course it's made by a gay guy.
Of course it is. Yeah. Because you have like the Chihuahua, you have Jennifer Coolidge. Anything with Jennifer Coolidge is a gay guy.
Who's Jennifer Coolidge?
She's Paula, the salon.
I love her so much, man.
She's amazing. Jennifer Coolidge was this like running theme of like me and my friend Brooke throughout the 2000s. Like, she was
Can
just
I have
this
been
amazing.
any more goddamn spastic?
Wait, what?
She says, "Could I have been any more goddamn spastic?"
God, she's just incredible. Like, and she's currently being talked about a lot, as she should, because she's on White Lotus, which is the Mike White show that has the like Red Scare mirror characters.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an HBO show. It's quite good, but
I'll check it.
But Jennifer Coolidge is on it, and she's incredible. She's just really fucking funny.
Yeah, she's excellent in Legally Blonde. So,
but Reese, the whole Reese phenomenon. I love Reese because she went from being like an indie darling, but also like in stuff like Fear with Mark Wahlberg. She's genuinely versatile and can do anything. Like, early on, she was like edgy because of like Freeway and Election, and then she became popular as like a kind of ditzy but smart hot girl because of Legally Blonde. So you had a whole bunch of movies after that, like Sweet Home Alabama.
Great movie.
But Reese is amazing, and like the first season of Big Little Lies is quite good. The second season is awful, but like the Reese's charisma shines through.
Yeah, she's so good. I mean, I can't imagine a better character for this movie. I mean, she like really hams it up in the best way.
There's something like unexpected. There's something unexpected and fresh in the combination of elements here, where sorority girls are sympathetic and fun and cool and actually smart. And
so true.
I mean, which is true, because like all the like the girls I knew who like made good grades and stuff, like all the hot girls I knew made good grades.
They were in the fucking
none of them were
sororities.
actually dumb.
So true. And the ones who were like angry and like rebellious were they were the people that I talked to more than the whatever Stacys or whatever you want to call them. I mean, what are
Rebecca's. Okay, the dichotomy is the Stacey's and Rebecca's, right? So Rebecca is the like
the Rebecca's are the good ones?
No, Rebecca's are the like it's like the Virgin versus Chad meme, but for women, and the Rebecca's are like the gray sweatered brunette, like huddling, hunched over with her books and doing all the right things, like making good grades, like all of it,
Yeah. So
Stacey is like Anna Nicole Smith.
Exactly. So the Stacys that I knew I knew I was like would be more friends with the Rebeccas, but they weren't doing better in any regard than the Stacys. Like not in school, not in beauty, not in friendship. I mean, like this is like the point. Like in college, the point of college is not to learn stuff. It's to make connections and to get good grades. And that is stuff. Those are things that Stacey would be excelling in, not a Rebecca.
Right. And Stacey's have to be stamped down through bureaucratic interference. Like, just as you see in this and True Beverly Hills, like the charisma of the Stacey has to be like tempered in some way, or they have to like depict them as dumb blondes who don't know about anything and are unaware of the patriarchal construction of misogyny. And there were all of these movies in the 2000s that depicted Stacey's as the heroes. Like the House Bunny is another one.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, both of these don't just...
A classic.
Both of these movies don't just depict them as heroes. There's like some sort of inversion or something going on, because they're both really popular and bubbly and successful, but they're like placed in the position of being the outsider, where everyone else around them is the hater. Like
they understood this was before its time. These are both before their time, because they understood that in the future, or that like it was probably already happening to a certain extent.
Because beauty is rare, man.
They were exaggerating it, like the same way that like what do you call it? Like fucking libs. They accuse us and they accuse right-wingers in general of over-exaggerating their problems. These movies were over-exaggerating the problem of this problem. The problem where, like, the Stacys are actually the ones who are oppressed. Really, they're the ones who are oppressed.
Held down by all the haters who are jealous.
Yeah.
And it's the most essentially, fundamentally true thing that haters are just jealous. Like, jealousy is a disease. Like, you see this. Like, Sandra, Bimbo Uberman, she's like one of the coolest people ever. She has it all. She's gorgeous.
Yep.
She's a model. She's also smart. She's also funny. And you see the way that these, like, leftist ghouls quote tweet her. And they're like, oh, you're just a dumb fucking woman that doesn't know what you're talking about. But people see through that. Like,
none of the, like, even, like, I mean, I guess on, like, the super Nazis or whatever will do something like that with, like, with some chick and be like, oh, she's so dumb because she's a stupid, pretty woman. But 99%, like, nobody I know would ever do that.
I'm in a weird place right now because I feel this immense love towards women and towards California. Like, I don't know if it's just because a lot of my friends currently are like from California, like Amanda Milius and Filthy Armenian, and like it's just presenting a new kind of vision of California to me. But like, I just was at a party recently and was like surrounded by like hot chicks, and I was like, wow, I remember when women were fun.
Yeah, it's New York that's lame and gay.
I remember when women were like hot, fun, like flirtatious, like before these qualities were just like drained out of them. And now you have people like Jen Psaki and Kamala Harris and just like these reptiles.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with like... One of my favorite anecdotes about True Beverly Hills is my friend Maxine, like one of my best friends all through college. She had absolutely no interest in movies, but True Beverly Hills was the one movie that she would watch. Mm-hmm. And she was like blonde and beautiful. and that was literally the only movie that she would accept. She thought movies were boring and like fell asleep. And I was like, wow, this is... And she's successful. Right. She's successful. She's right, you know?
Yeah, she was right. That's the movie people should be watching. That and Legally Blonde.
What about the ethnically ambiguous lesbian?
In what?
Legally Blonde.
Oh,
who went on to be on Days of Our Lives. Both of these movies have people who went on to be on Days of Our Lives.
The lesbian, by the way, the lesbian brings up in Legally Blonde, she does some like modern like gender critique. Do you remember that when she tries to?
Oh yeah,
when she explains the winter ovester instead of the winter semester.
All this stuff goes way back, man. All this stuff goes way back.
It does, but it's so weird to me that like this was enough of a thing for a movie to weird language policing and like very bizarre, intricate language anger and like hatred and like language hatred would be portrayed on film to the extent that it would be lampooned and like made fun of. She says, like, the winter ovester. She even, like, before she says the winter ovester thing, she explains it, like, in this weird way. She's like, language is totally sexist. I don't know. She says something very intricate and, like, gender theory-ish.
People used to know that all of that stuff was bullshit before it got
a niche concern.
Before it got a hook in mainstream culture. And in the 2000s, feminism had retreated to the backstage. It was this weird, kooky thing that nobody took very seriously, that they thought of just like hairy-legged lesbians in the 70s. And before the advent of woke culture, which I hate using that word, I like calling it 20. It reduces the problem, though. It sounds like a joke. The problem is not a joke. The problem is like authoritarian in nature. That's why I don't like the word woke. But before that made its way into mainstream culture via social media in the 2010s, like everybody, all the girls that I knew in high school, even the smart ones, they were like, I'm not a feminist. I don't subscribe to that.
But then they got a phone and all got networked.
The word woke just sucks because it just sucks. I mean, it just sucks because it sounds gay.
I'm gonna defend it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with woke, nothing wrong with libtard. Just like there's nothing wrong with...
I like libtard. Libtard is great.
Libtard is great.
Excellent. What are other real things? Things like bootstrapping, that's real. There's nothing
bootstrapping
wrong.
Is all true, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. Woke is true in the way that bootstrapping is true.
Okay, so like I don't hate woke, but
the word woke is like I just don't like to use it because it's their word or whatever.
My instinctive distrust of it is because it makes the problem sound kind of light and funny. But that's just one. And the problem is not light and funny. The problem is communism is at your door. It's the genderqueer people in Dr. Zhivago that take over their apartment, divide it, and, it's like the woke makes it sound like it's some kind of like minor cultural trend, and we see all of these post-left types who are always flip-flopping.
And I'm still attached to the like definition of the word woke, where it means anybody who is awake to any issue. That's how I'm used to using it.
But you have these post-left type people who they like realize liberalism is bad, Democrats are bad, whatever, and then they get like screenshotted and quote tweeted by a tranny for the first time, and then they go, "Oh, I'm actually not political, and actually cancel culture isn't that big of a problem." And right-wing people be talking about how cancel culture is a problem, and actually it's just like ignore it, bro. Walk away from the phone.
God.
No, that's bullshit. They all do that the second they're fucking quote tweeted by a tranny.
Speaking of tranny, what do you think would happen when they get a hold of not just trannies? What do you think would happen when Berto Center gets in the hands of the LGBTQ community,
or Legally Blonde, even?
What would happen if they saw that?
Seriously,
I mean,
what would happen?
I mean, what the enemies, every like several months, there's a new crop of people on Twitter who try to combine racism and feminism to unpopular. No one likes it.
Am I like the only person who has ever made a work of fiction that has anything to say about trannies?
I get no, because everybody avoids it because they know the behavior and that
perhaps before trannies existed, they had a lot to say about trannies, but now that they are a massive cultural thing, a massive cultural psyop or whatever you want to call it, am I the only person who's even made like a critique of that? Maybe.
Yeah, but you've done it so subtly that like it doesn't strike the immediate chord of transphobia, where they like quote tweet you and send they sick all their psychos on you, because like journalists and like leftists and anybody who like is a cultural commentator or whatever knows to avoid that topic, which is the biggest topic of the 2010s and the present day, because of how they ruin your life when you address it. And it's also such a like complex topic that no one really understands fully. Like they think like boomers and stuff, like regular straight people think that trans liberation is a part of like gay liberation and that it's the same thing. And the truth is that it's a new political ideology, a new political corporate ideology, which was launched cynically in the 2010s after gay marriage was passed.
Yeah.
Which makes money for pharmaceutical companies. It also provides brown shirts Nazi enforcers of your ideology because of the way that they destroy people. And this is inherent in the ideology, which is elective. It's not there. There's always this idea, like post-leftists are like, well, they're the trans people who are totally normal and they were simply born in the wrong body. And
right.
There's always this like ridiculous idea that they promote that like there's this contingent of innocent trans people.
They're making it real hard for the good ones, which...
Well, the good... Okay.
It's always making it really hard for the good ones. That's the left's thing always.
But as I always say, I evaluate everyone as an individual, regardless of race, sexual orientation, political ideology, whatever. I evaluate everyone as an individual. And the 2010s trans ideology that currently exists it is built into it to harass dissenters and ruin people. It's a nihilistic, satanic ideology that ends in suicide at 35. They all kill themselves, and then they're repurposed through the Democrat meat grinder as we have so much more work to do.
They either kill themselves or the people they harass kill themselves, or both.
It's all based on harassment and fascism.
Hatred.
And also laziness.
Pure unadulterated hatred. Just like seething anger, hatred. And like you can see it. I got like harassed by a transgender person the other day when I said some like, I don't know, just some thing about transgender ideology and how it was. Well, I said exactly what you just said, which was that it was created immediately after the gay thing by a bunch of content mills that didn't have anything to do after gay marriage.
Because it's profitable for everyone. Yeah.
And it's absolutely a fucking fact. And this like weird person. I mean, like I didn't even know what they were. What?
This weird person.
Yeah, this weird person. In quotes, the person was in quotes. Bothered me about it, and like I saw their profile had like an anime avatar, and I looked closely, and it was a trans person. Obviously, who else would bother me about this? But they were like, they were just very angry about what I said, and it's just like this seething hatred that they have deep in their souls. Like it has a similar tone to the anger of like a Wignat type that I hate so much.
Yeah.
And if you look at their profiles, they have the similar. They talk about how lame Nick Bolin and Sam Hyde. The Wignats do that shit too. They hate these people. They hate everything and everyone so much, you know? There's nothing that they love.
So true. The trans problem cannot be unfolded or explained. It's just so complex because gender nonconformity is a separate issue from the political construction of trans ideology, which they push now, which is viral and which it serves as a societal contaminant in a way that homosexuality never did. Like homosexuality, regardless of how many TV show episodes about like gay affirmation, there's a baseline sexual desire issue where people will not just like suck a dick because they don't want to, you know, but the trans stuff is so wide open and requires nothing. It's this nebulous ideology, much like communism, where you don't have to get gender affirmation surgery. You don't have to believe anything except you declare yourself this like word virus.
Yes.
You're a word virus.
They have to. The big difference is a language difference. I mean, they have to believe a certain they have to believe a whole laundry list of things that suck ass and balls and nobody wants to get on board with ever. And that is the thing that matters the most. That like they have to get every single person, every last person on earth on board with this.
And it's also a minuscule, even with the spread of the ideology, the viral spread of it, it's a minuscule, tiny portion of the population which the entire media cycle has been obsessed with, and the entire political machine has been obsessed with for 10 years at this point. And there's such a sharp divide between being a gender nonconforming person, as I am as well. If I were a child now, I was interested in girl things. I would have a well-meaning 30-year-old millennial female teacher telling me that I was trans if I was a kid now.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's so conservative and reactionary, this belief that you were born in the wrong body, this like belief that you can alter reality. That's the problem. That's the essential problem.
They will have to murder every last one of us who has these thoughts and delete every single occurrence of us talking about this or saying these undeniably true things that like it's physically impossible to disagree with. That
and everybody is on our side. Every boomer parent is on our side. Everybody knows. The trans question is something you can bring up with people who don't even know Democrats are bad.
Yes,
because they all know. They know that it's a subversion of truth.
Or like in order to get to follow through with what they're trying to fucking follow through with, they will have to murder every last one of us and delete every last thing that says anything like this, or even touches on it in the like remotely.
The fundamental issue with it is the altering of reality,
altering of the past. Yeah,
altering of the past, where no one can talk about the past, which they observed, and they knew you if you were like the gender you were born as. They can't openly talk about their memories of you because you have changed the past, and that was an essential psyop of the 2010s, and that's how they got away with COVID, by creating a fearful, terrified population. The reality of biological gender is so fundamental to the human experience that if you tell people biological gender can't exist, which everybody knows it's real, but if you tell people they can't publicly say that, you can do anything. You create weak, compliant, lame, feminized population who can be implanted with any propaganda you want, and they'll all kill themselves at age 35 and be repurposed as more propaganda for the Democrat Party for make-work jobs.
It's like taking a middle finger and making it into like this thick fist and just like shoving it in your face and then pulling the middle finger back a little and then punching you in the fucking face with it. And you're like, oh yeah, this is cool.
And everyone's like fat, awkward 13-year-old daughter is now telling their father that they're fucking trans because they go on the computer, because now Democrats have prevented us from having public life via COVID, which is fake. Now no one exists as anything but on the computer. Yep. So your child, they present this as a solution to everything. If you've ever felt dissatisfied with modernity or your life at all or your body, it's because you were born in the wrong body.
You might want to fucking castrate yourself. If you've ever felt a hint of anxiety, you might want to do eugenics to yourself or whatever.
And gender nonconformity is not the problem. As the book The Man Who Would Be Queen delineated 20 years ago about the trans stuff, it's divided into maladjusted straight men, the Norman Bates types, who dress as women as like an autogynephile fetish, and then gay men who just become bimbos. And gay men becoming bimbos is Lindy. Like, drag is Lindy. Yeah. And that's a totally different thing. It's this belief
dressing in whatever gender you feel like dressing like, or dressing in whatever, like, just, it's not even gender. Whatever clothes you feel like dressing like is totally Lindy.
It's absolutely Lindy. It's the fundamental issue of I can alter reality. That's satanic.
Yeah.
That's Baphomet. That's the root of Satanism.
Everyone has that desire to change things that happened in the past or change your circumstance. Just like I said earlier, everybody feels alienated.
The problem is that we live in hell, and we're going to be. I mean, like, this is like the most hateful thing that anyone, like this, what we're doing right now is like such hateful, like angry.
But everyone knows the truth.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Us
Democrats.
This really simple thing that everybody knows is like grounds for execution to so many people, to so like more people than anyone would think.
And
like, yeah.
I was just gonna say that like the guys in L's class or whatever, the autistic guy with the shifty eyes.
Oh, by the way, that's Anthony Perkins' kid.
Son of Norman Bates.
He would be trans now.
That's the son of
if
Norman
you're a
Bates.
fat, awkward person,
autistic.
you're trans.
By
If
the
you're
way,
autistic, you're trans.
He would be trans. The gay guy in the Norman Bates' kid would be trans. The gay guy in the nail place, the guy who says, "Oh, the bend and snap works every time."
All those people, all the
he would
Mexican
be
Sephora
trans.
twinks.
Yeah.
Okay, all the Mexican Sephora gays that work at Sephora, they're all trans now because the
would be
way that
trans.
this stuff infects the like lower classes and everything, where it's like the Mexican Sephora twink is extinct in the way that the butch lesbian is extinct because women are susceptible to propaganda and are stupid.
Oh, by the way, the main lesbian girl, the main angry lesbian, trans. She's the most trans person in the movie.
This is because transgender ideology is a path to power. It is not an authentic realization of self. It is a path to Caligula-like power. You are a Roman emperor fucking horses and like killing people, and no one can criticize you because of the moment that you live in. That's what this is. So we have ugly, weird, malcontent straight men, the incels, who have never had luck with women and have never had a place in the world. And then they dye their hair pink once and declare that they're trans and change their name to Amanda, Rebecca, whatever. And it's just a hideous hobbit-like man, Zoe. And suddenly they have all of these opportunities opened up to them.
And
they can be a gamer journalist.
There are like 15 characters in Legally Blonde, and 4 of them would be trans now.
Because it's communism. Transgenderism is communism. It's evil.
Yeah.
Like 4 of them would be trans now, and that's not enough for the people who want it to keep going or whatever.
People don't understand all these post-leftists that make these excuses where they're like worried about being red-pilled, and they're like, I know so many normal, well-adjusted trans people who work jobs, and then it's inevitably revealed that they have this vegetable drawer of weird disorders that prevent them from working a normal job. And any trans person, by the way, who is cool would be into this podcast, regardless of whatever we say about it. Just as I'm into like homophobic shit.
Yeah, true. I mean, like, honestly, like, I don't even know what to say. Like, we're talking about an ideology. We're not talking about individuals.
It's a political ideology. Yeah. But it's presented that this is what liberals, Democrats are brilliant at, is presenting authoritarian ideologies as social justice, and is something that an individual, a persecuted individual, discovers in a little treasure box. You know, I discovered that I'm gay here.
They wouldn't even make it to this part of the podcast to even, like, because we're so filled with hatred, to even make it to the part where we talked about how this isn't about individuals, and like a transgender individual isn't necessarily bad. You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't even understand that that's part of our conversation.
You can't understand the difference between what we're talking about right now and a man in a dress. which is Lindy. A man cross-dressing is Lindy.
Yeah.
It's the ideology. It's the word virus, which allows you a path to power, which ends in your satanic, nihilistic suicide at age 35. And believe me, they all kill themselves. They all do.
Shamefully cross-dressing for sick sexual thrill has been around for a long time.
It's like covering yourself in tattoos. I mean, it can be good and it can be bad, but
dude, I've heard
it often ends in suicide.
I've heard.
Sorry.
No, I interrupted you. I don't really want to bring up the tattoo question, but I've heard people refer to
tattoo question.
No, I don't, because people get really. It's like in some ways it's worse. But hold on.
Let's bring it up.
I've heard people say things where it's like, this is part of me. Like, I was judged because of my tattoos. This is like part of me, and I just want to be like, dude, bro, this is a choice you made.
It is a choice that you made. It is very, very, very similar. And there's no... I love tattoos, and I think they're cool. And I think people who get them are bold. And I think people who become trans, or whatever you want to call it, are bold. But...
Fierce.
But it is...
You want to be on top.
But it is a choice that you make that can have very negative consequences. And I've known many, many people. I've known too many people who getting tattoos, who covering themselves in tattoos has ended in suicide. In a very similar way to becoming trans has ended in suicide.
If people get neck tattoos, they kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, like, it can get that way.
I have two things I want to say in the tattoo question.
And I like tattoos. I don't want to...
The tattoo question, the TQ.
And I love people. I love tattoos. I love Danzig. I want to give a shout out to Danzig for the tattoos.
Danzig is the avatar of this podcast.
I love that man.
As the wonderful, this masculine, beautiful, tattooed straight man who will kill me with a giant gleaming knife and jello mold.
You know what? He could kill me if he wanted to.
He should kill both of us, because all homosexuals want to die at the hands of a straight man, and I want it to be him.
He's the Berto. He's like the embodiment of the Berto Center.
He really is the Berto. He's also like sweet, just a sweetheart. Like he's been with me the entire time since I got on Twitter. Like, he's my best friend that's been with me the entire time. And
so he's covered in tattoos, and that's very cool. And I don't have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with tattoos often, but there's a thing.
My 2 points about it are: transgender ideology is explicitly linked with panhandling and grifting.
Yeah.
This is more at the core of that ideology than the idea of being born in the wrong body or gender affirmation or anything. Since I saw it first pop up in the late 2000s on Tumblr, and I was shocked at this weird fringe thing where people would declare themselves trans and then put a PayPal link and say that you had to give them money for whatever they wanted because of an imaginary conspiracy theory Holocaust against trans women. And I explicitly saw one time a trans woman asking for money for tattoos because it was part of her like self-affirmation.
Yes, it's very similar.
And that's all of it. At the root of the trans stuff is laziness and not wanting to work and not wanting to make your own money and demanding constant reparations for an imaginary problem which never existed. My second point about tattoos...
It's all cosmetic.
It's all cosmetic, and it's all if you're a rotten person from birth, just like Damien from The Omen, then you're attracted to ideologies like communism and transgenderism. And you're doomed to that from birth because you're a bad person.
It's like the lesbian on Legally Blonde.
I mean, lesbianism isn't real. It just happens because it's real when it's like a genetically butch woman who's like mannish, which we can all recognize. Like those are the ones who are actually like horny for women. But the rest of lesbianism is all just the result of women being raped.
Wow. I never thought about that. I've never thought about that.
But my second point on tattoos is I'm a person with tattoos and I love tattoos and I love the process of getting them, but also they're makeup for fat men. So if you're a fat man, if you get tattoos, you go from being like the nebbish, horrible, like fat guy loser to being like, oh, he's the bouncer at this club. So it will get you pussy. Like people will want to suck your like 5.5-inch dick after you get the tattoos. Because you suddenly look tough. They're like, oh, this is a tough guy. So it's makeup for fat men, just like, and when I meet like another fat man, I should do like the seminars where I tell fat men what they need to do. Inward, you have to cut your hair short. You have to look butch. You have to butch it up. You can't have long hair. I'm sorry, nature. Only skinny and straight men can experiment with long hair and like feminine accoutrement, honestly, like a nose ring.
Honestly, tattoos can be a few things. Like you said, like it could be that, it can be it can be anger that you get tattoos. It can be it can literally be exactly the same as transgenderism that you get tattoos. I honestly am starting to wonder. It could be being fat. It can be getting. It can be starting to get fat, like Lena Dunham said on girls.
If you're fat, you suddenly have an edge if you get tattoos. So it's
and it could
makeup.
be taking control of your body. I honestly am wondering if transgender can be very similar. Like we've been saying the whole time that transgender can be very similar to getting tattoos, but I wonder if it could be similar in every way. It can have multiple meanings.
But the most truthful and transgressive thing to do right now is what our friend Zach Langley Chichi is doing, where he's a drag queen, like an old school drag queen. He's just a guy who cross-dresses at bars and like flirts with Japanese men. And
so they got it right the first time, is what you're saying.
Yes.
They got it right the first time. It's
same with tattoos.
I can't speak for Zach, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't make believe that he's not Zach.
He's also extremely masculine.
You know what?
In this ideological.
Well, I mean, he specifically referred to himself as a gay man on Ghost Jail. So I mean, like he's not like under any illusions of anything.
But like that's the future. This whole word virus thing of thinking you can change reality and using that as the short path to power.
I really hope that's the future, man, because I don't know.
It can't last. That doesn't mean things won't get real bloody.
I feel like they're gonna have to, like I said earlier, like they're gonna have to kill us for doing this. You know?
I know.
They're gonna have to murder us for doing this. That's it.
Look at the search results for this podcast, and it's like literally like a gay man, like an old school minority doing like a transgressive queer art project that's positive and resonates with everyone. And the search results you see are just like Nazi evil insanity. That's what they do to you.
This is going to be like one of the shining examples of how hateful it is right here. This is it. You know? It's crazy.
That's already happened if people listened in order as I tell them to. Like the first Teddy DeShebra Dressed to Kill episode. This was already
the secret out.
Oh, I let the secret out. Whoops.
I don't know I don't like how hateful am I? I don't know how hateful I am, but
we're not hateful. We're the good guys. We're not hateful. We're the good guys. But
it's so crazy. It's so good.
So the opening, I tried to watch Legally Blonde, and the opening I rewinded like 3 different times because Hoku's Perfect Day plays over this one. So good. This montage of Elle getting ready for her day, like painting her nails
in her magical bimbo wonderland of the sorority, which is literally fake and magical and beautiful in every regard.
And I love that shot of her spraying the perfume. It's not on her wrist; it's like on her hand.
Nice.
She's spraying the Clinique Happy on her hand. And Hoku was this like huge figure in the late 90s, early 2000s. She was the daughter of Don Ho, the like Hawaiian, I think, instrumentalist.
Son of a famous person, or daughter of a famous person.
But she was like Christian, and she provided these like wholesome, cool songs. Another Dumb Blonde, this one, Perfect Day, the Burrito song, and she coasted in on this like popularity of like blonde teenage pop singers with Britney and Christina, and she quit early. But Perfect Day, I think about it every single day. Every day I think about Perfect Day and the opening of this movie. It's just like
so good.
Oh,
it by the way, it opens and closes on Perfect Day.
Perfect Day. It's just
nothing stand. It makes me feel good inside and outside.
This is such a competently and perfectly put together movie, like how movies used to be, like in the studio system, where they were like, it was a bunch of Jews that were in control, and they knew how to put together a product that people would like.
Yeah.
And so the studio system has been demonized in like film studies as like repressive, and like all the actors were like artists who wanted out of it, which is stupid because actors suck and they should all be fascistically repressed and tortured, and actors are scum and lower than anything that I can think of.
I mean, it's like a waitress.
Yeah, actors are. It's like a prostitute.
Prostitute, waitress, actress.
British actors have like a better idea of what they are, because British actors will all do nudity. They will also all.
I just saw the perfume scene, by the way. Sorry, I'm watching the movie as we speak.
Perfect day. Yeah. Nothing standing in my. Yeah, but British actors will do nudity. They realize they're mannequins. They will lend their image to like the Harry Potter franchise or whatever, because that's a paycheck. They understands the job. It's a uniquely like American thing where actors think they are idols or gods who, for the Democrat Party,
have something to say.
They were like chosen. But that opening scene, I just watched it 3 times, and the beauty of this, where she's getting it all together and like putting on her strappy platform wedges and spraying on her perfume, and it's unreal. Like, this is such a perfectly put together movie. It's like, it's really from the studio system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the what do you call it? The sorority is so magical, and like the girls are like putting together a little letter for her, and then like Bruiser, her little like dog, I love Bruiser, and Bruiser picks it up and gives it to her, and like she reads the letter and she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited for him to propose," and it's just like everything that's another thing. Everything in the sorority revolves around Elle Woods, you know.
And another important point, which I realized on this last rewatch, is that this is the same movie as American Psycho. It's from the same time, and it has the same themes, and Reese Witherspoon is the same character in both movies, and it does have this kind of like schizo quality of like imagining you're like the main character of your own thing, where you're like the hottest and the most stylish and you're good at everything.
It's all about Howard's.
It's the same movie as American Psycho. You could title it that. You could release this movie and title it American Psycho and you would have a hit.
That's a thought.
Because American Psycho is a shopping and fucking novel. And, you know, people don't get that. They think like, Bret Easton Ellis is satirizing rich people, Trump people, and that's gay and wrong and lame. And actually, American Psycho is evidence of how reactionary he is. It's like a gay misogynist diatribe.
Yeah. So true, so true. But yeah, like everything. Elle is like the. Yeah, she's like it's like narcissism, but like good. Everything revolves around her, but it's so extremely wholesome. You know, like when she gets the 179 on the LSAT, it's like 179, and every single person, single person,
when she does
they're
things
ready
like,
for it. They have all the shit ready. They shoot all the streamers. They shoot all the little silly string.
Because everybody loves hot, popular people with charisma.
Yeah. And every single person in the sorority is hot and popular, but Elle is like the number one.
And the supporting cast of this is amazing. Alana Ubach, who is also in Freeway with Reese, and she's also in the Brady Bunch movie playing the lesbian that has a crush on Marsha Brady.
Which one is that?
Alana Ubach is, you know, she has the two friends. It's like the brown-haired friend.
Oh, the brown-haired
she's also in
friend,
Clock Watchers with Lisa Kudrow.
The one who gets bangs.
Yeah, she's great. She's a delightful character actress who is always really underrated. But I was thinking this week how watching this movie feels like Soviet Russia people watching like bootlegged episodes of Dallas before like the iron wall, the wall fell and everything.
Except it's like the Iron Curtain of Time.
It's the Iron Curtain of Time because everything about this is forbidden. Like the uplifting of the individual, of like the hot, charismatic, like cool, intelligent person. Everything that we currently experience in this landscape is about elevating faggots and mutants and retards and bad, rotten apples. And I just want to say unequivocally, with no exceptions, that everybody on the left is a bad, rotten apple, and they're all scum, and they've surrendered their humanity. And that's what this movie, Legally Blonde, is about.
That's so true. I gotta piss really
There's not
quick,
one exception.
But this episode is not over. I gotta go pee real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go piss too. I'll be right back.
All right.
Is that cool?
No, it's not.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right.
Hello?
Hey.
You guys have done a lot of episodes. How deeply hateful is this episode?
It's buried at the 2 hour 45-minute mark. So, but everybody listened to the last one and loved it. So I have a genuine belief in the Howard Rourke Fountainhead type of the good people will triumph, you know. Because I was worried about the last one. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. But everybody loves it more than anything.
I'm going to wake up in the morning, it's going to be like Sunday Scaries after getting hammered and saying a bunch of shit, but it's going to be like, this one's going to last forever.
I mean, but it's undeniable. Like, people can't. Everything we're saying is true. And
and if they, I mean, like, and if they listen to the whole fucking thing, they hear what we had to really say. So, whatever.
It's just like the timeless themes of these movies of like charismatic, good, smart, appealing people
who
triumphing.
use Apple products.
Use Apple products. So true.
Triumphing over the masses of malcontents and rotten apples.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's really crazy. That is really what these movies are about.
Hoku was a fixture. I remember on the Disney Channel there was this like Hoku Live in Hawaii special. They would always show where she was like in her little like orange vest, dancing. She's something that's like forgotten.
I've never heard of Hoku in my life.
I love Hoku.
Oh my god, Hoku's great, man.
I've never heard of Hoku.
Perfect Day. Like, I literally think of Perfect Day every day. Every single day I wake up and I think of Perfect Day.
Perhaps I have seen her image, but I've never heard.
But she retired. She's cool. She's like a trad wife, and she retired early on.
Mm-hmm. She's like a normal human being who decided to live a normal life.
But everything, the production design of this, it's so old Hollywood studio system. Like, the bright pastel pinks and blues. And oranges.
There's also some subtlety to it, like moments like when the gay boyfriend storms out of the courtroom. Everything's gonna involve gay characters. I'm not picking on them, but like when the gay guy comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, the snap move or whatever," like little
Bend
sort of
snap.
yeah.
But
these little sort of zany non sequitur type moments, they don't do too many of them, and I feel like a lot of comedy type movies around this time like had a lot of that going on. I don't know, I just noticed
all the zany moments in this are like faggots be faggots,
but they fit. They don't do
true.
This movie could have been zanier. I'm trying to think of an example. I was just wow,
this movie has a magic, unexpected combination of elements that is why people like it.
And they would show restraint in the way that they stay away from.
I gotta give a shout out to my dad here. The reason that I love this movie is my father. My dad he was big into, I've been meaning to mention it the whole episode, I just have to say it. My dad was like big into chick flicks, and he was big into lawyer movies. And this was
both of them.
So like, yeah, so like and it's never like a serious movie. My dad's not that type of guy. So like, I grew up with like, what do you call it? What's the movie with Joe Pesci where he's a lawyer?
That she got the Academy Award nomination for.
What's her name?
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. Joe
My Cousin
Pesci.
Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. So that's like one of our main movies because we're Italian and he's a lawyer. And then like there was that, and then there was Liar Liar because that's a lawyer movie. And then he liked all the chick flicks, so he even liked fucking Freaky Friday, the remake was
the Freaky Friday remake is fucking amazing. It's the
excellent.
It's the best movie Jamie Lee Curtis has ever done, and it's the best movie Lindsay Lohan has ever done.
Parent Trap
so
remake
glad you like that
is
movie.
in some ways better than the original.
The Parent Trap remake is way better than the original.
Yeah, it is better.
But Freaky Friday, that's the best.
Freaky Friday is undeniably
It's better than Halloween. Like when you talk about Jamie, I'm a huge Jamie Lee Curtis fan, and when you talk about her best movies, like it's literally better than Halloween.
So the Freaky Friday remake was a huge fixture in my childhood. I watched it like 50 times. And then this was like the ultimate movie when I was growing up because everybody made fun of my dad for liking it. Like my whole family would joke about it. And we would just be like, "Oh, Mr. Chick Flick, Mr." And it was like a lawyer movie, and it was a chick flick. So it was
I
like,
love your dad.
yeah, it was like a huge fixture in my childhood, and I watched it so many times. So like, I'm really, really happy to be talking about it. That's all I wanted to say here.
I remember the feeling of like embarrassment about it, similar to the 80s embarrassment feeling where I, in 8th, 9th grade, became like a film, arty person who was into film history. And I remember like my mom being like, I love that movie. And she like bought me the DVD, which I think was in like a pink case or something. And it had never occurred to me. I was like, actually, I love that movie too. It's actually perfect. Yeah. You know, it's something, when something becomes so popular in that way, you can't really evaluate it outside. They make like a sequel.
They make like a fucking Hollywood musical or whatever.
And I'm looking at the poster right now, and it's this like amazing example of 2000s ruthless like pre-woke photoshopping where she looks like those like meme pictures of like Mariah Carey where she's like made to look like stick thin, that, you know, where it's like Reese Witherspoon's head like floating above this like stick thin like body.
That's all supposed to be bad, but all these chicks doing Facetune is okay.
Yeah, it's just changed. The dialogue has changed.
Yeah, now you got to be a fucking fat ass girl or whatever. You got to have like this thin waist and this massive fat ass now. Or
I'm
whatever.
so sick of the like thick trend where it's like gross ass Instagram hoes with their like.
Yeah.
I hate that
it's
bitch.
Never turned me on even remotely.
No.
I hate that bitch and what's the Safdie brothers Uncut Gems, like that white girl with the like pog ass that everybody freaks out about. I fucking hate her.
I don't remember. I can't remember.
Everybody's like, oh my god, she's Julia Fox. Everybody's like, oh my god, she's so hot. And it's like this like Instagram ass white chick.
What was she in again?
Uncut Gems was white.
Yeah. She's like this white. She's super white trash, and she's got this super fat ass. Yeah, Ugh. She's the perfect white girl for the modern day or whatever.
Yeah, she sucks.
Yeah, she
fucking sucks. Legally Blonde. Okay, like
Legally Blonde. She's perfect.
I love Reese.
Reese is perfect.
Reese radiates everything that she's in. She radiates this like authenticity, and I'm a huge fan of Wild, which she won the Oscar for, which to all like outside perspectives you would think it was this like self-help like feminist thing. It's about like her based on a book, but like about her like going on the like Portland like hiking trail.
Is Reese cool, by the way? Like Reese has gone away, and she like has disappeared at the horrible point. So like, is she cool?
I get an innate feeling of coolness from Reese.
I do too.
I really don't, you know, regardless of what she might say in an interview or something, like I get an innate feeling of like this is like a badass, like uncategorizable chick.
I just love her so, and like nothing she could say would bother me, but it would make me so unbelievably happy if she was cool.
But it's really funny because they didn't want to cast her in this because Election had cast her as like the Hillary Clinton, like stuck up, tight mouthed bitch, and they didn't think that she could be like a hot, charismatic bimbo.
Hello?
Hey.
Oh, sorry. I thought that I lost you. Yeah. You just like cut out the middle of it.
No, I said bimbo and then...
Yeah, it's weird I don't know. I love Reese so much, and I love this movie so much, and it makes me happy inside.
But I really feel like watching this in 2021, I feel like a Satantango character, like in black and white, like with like a leaky roof, and like watching like American, this like colorful, optimistic vision of American excess and like capitalist excess and like legally blonde. It's just amazing that something like this was just what you took for granted then, you know?
Yeah, it's so weird. And and it has everything. I mean, it has all like the hell. It contains the hell that we live in. Like when she says a Coppola, she got like a Coppola to direct her admissions video.
Her admissions video is amazing.
Dude, here's the question though, and this is like really nerdy and pointless. In the context of this film, which had a nice budget, why did they make a fake VHS? Why didn't they just film it on VHS?
On VHS?
Why did they make it fake?
Because it's better, bro.
Is it?
Because at that time, VHS was something you took for granted that nobody thought about. They were like, in 2001, it was like the mindset was, this will be around forever.
Yeah, anyway, that was one.
I'm glad they made the fake VHS. I'm with it. I
didn't even notice.
Thing
that's
movie.
how much of a bitch I am. I didn't even notice it was fake.
I have not a single problem with this movie, but I could. Sorry, continue.
Sorry, continue. But I'm just talking about the outfits. Like, I love when she's wearing that like that like beanie. With where she looks like a Degrassi sixth grader.
I love your tweet about that. You said like this Degrassi ass sixth grader outfit.
The mindset that would produce a movie like this doesn't exist anymore. Like, we're literally in like communist hell.
She literally dresses like a 3-year-old. For some of the movie, like I'm not even joking, a fucking 3-year-old for some of this movie. She dresses like
the smoking jacket when she first goes to Harvard is amazing.
I love her so much. Yeah, the smoking jacket and the first college scene when she's like. By the way, the 6th grader scene is when she's like getting serious and she's like. I'm going to start studying. I'm going to start getting into this and start studying for college. That is the 6th grader outfit.
Her boyfriend, who's like Derek from Strangers with Candy, just like that like villainized evil American Psycho Chad. And Luke Wilson was always like cast to play like the authentic like hot guy.
I always thought of him as I always thought of her original boyfriend. What's his name? Fuck. I can't remember. Whatever.
Bruiser. I can't remember.
Warner.
Bruiser.
Warner.
Yeah.
I always thought of Warner as a Ricky Martin character. He's gay.
I mean, that's the inference with anytime like a girl has like a Chad boyfriend who isn't interested in sex, the inference is that he's gay.
Yeah, I always thought of him as gay.
But god damn, man, I can't. This like widescreen pastel pink and blue vision where I was watching it like on Amazon. I don't know. I don't think it's been remastered recently, but it looked like grainy ass old film.
Yeah. When you suddenly notice that like 2001, 2002 movies, 2004 look all
old,
ancient.
This movie's
really
2002,
old,
right?
It was 2001.
Right before.
It was. I literally. This is really dramatically important that this came out the summer before September 11th.
Wow. So this is a Y2K, like solidly Y2K movie.
And I recall, okay, that was an important time because they opened the new Austin airport, and I remember walking around with my parents. That was before like airport security was a thing, post 9/11, and you could just walk around the airport. And I remember seeing Angelina Jolie, Tomb Raider, like magazines everywhere, and then it all changed, and everything became about this like horrible like Soviet security.
The 9/11 is so important now because it really represents, like, anyone who remembers it, it really represents what we live in now.
Yeah.
Which is like the whole world. So I always say this to everybody, like everybody I know in real life. I'm always like, they're gonna like remember 9/11. That's what they're gonna do. Like what they did to the airport after 9/11 is what they're trying to do to the whole world now. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's totally true. The social justice frosting, concealing authoritarian motives of monitoring, and the entire apparatus of social media. It was deployed by the CIA to monitor people like that. That's what it was, and that's become crystal clear with the implementation of COVID as this constant ambient threat where people cannot go outside of their houses or live life normally because of the threat of white supremacy.
It's just closing in. Everything's closing in.
But
it's going to be. We're going to live.
But if 9/11 happened
airport.
now, no libtards would dare speak out against it. Like they wouldn't even be upset. Right. And that's like, you think I'm exaggerating?
No, I don't.
But libtards feel nothing for like death and like the cost of human life. Like even if you were like a hardcore Democrat and your family member was in that building when it was brought down, those libtards would feel nothing about it. They would just be like, oh, it's actually white people stirring the ant pile and like
that's
the Middle East and like the warmonger. Like these people suck.
They would blame it on you and me and Orton. They would blame it on us.
White guys having fun doing podcasts talking about perfume.
They would say that it's our fault for having this conversation. That they got that 3,000 people got murdered.
Libtards feel nothing about 9/11. They feel nothing, and it's New York. It's coastal elites being hit.
Yeah.
That was not the case back then. Even as recently as like
2010,
even more recent than that. There was that show with Sam Waterston about the news people. There was like a whole episode where they were all walking around.
When was that?
That was like mid 2010s. But that show's really,
I would say 15 was the end.
Yeah, that show's like extremely libtarded, and there's a whole episode where they walk around shaking hands about the death of Osama bin Laden.
The day that Trump got elected was the day that all of this ended.
Yeah.
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 The libtards now would feel, I mean, even when Osama bin Laden got killed, like, I would still see, like, the repellent rotten apples being like, he's a human, you can't talk about him being killed, which is just evidence of like moral rot and like that you should die, and that you don't know what's morally good. But like now that's the mainstream take. Like a libtard would not even know what to do with 9/11, where it's this case of Islamist extremists killing coastal elites.
But Jack, they were trained by the whites.
Yeah, and they were paying back American imperialism.
It's libertarians.
I mean, Islam is
anyone.
not even an operating force in the current political landscape. Like 5 years ago, Islam was like the central thing in like the 2016 kind of like Milo Yiannopoulos alt-right whatever, where it was this like pointing out the fact via facts and logic how Islam was actually homophobic and anti-feminist, and then we saw how allowing women political freedom resulted in the downfall of civilization because they're connected to Satan. And
well, not just political freedom, they all got networked. Everything changed when the iPhone came out. I know I just said that winners use Apple products, which is true.
It is.
But like literally that's like a huge part in this is when the internet became accessible.
But remember 2016 when like the conservative platform was that they would Muslims would throw gays off of buildings and like cut off women's clits.
I'd go
and
back
now
there.
that just means nothing.
I'd go back
that
to
means
those
nothing
days.
at all. Like
No, that's
we're
fine.
all of us right-wing guys are like, please let the Muslim takeover
Jack,
happen.
what do they do to trans people, Jack? I don't know.
With
They don't
trans
have
people,
any.
which is a fake, made-up thing that doesn't exist. That's
What do they do
a
to-
wing of the Democrat Party.
What do they
to them?
force trans
Jack,
people
what-
to turn into?
What do they do to trans people in the Middle East? I don't know. Trans people don't fucking exist.
They don't
gay people
exist except
exist
as a
in the Middle East because
pollutant.
gay people are real.
Gay people
exist
are
in the Middle
real.
East.
I love men. That's real.
Yeah.
Trans people is just malcontents.
It's made up.
Malcontents and ugly, horrible, rotten apples, communists infiltrating. And you know that's
There
the
aren't
100
gay people in the Middle East to mistreat because there aren't trans people. Sorry, there aren't trans people in the Middle East to mistreat because there aren't trans people.
Well, doesn't Iran like force conversions or something?
Which is Lindy. Even every aspect of this is Lindy that like forces like faggots to transition into like trans prostitutes. The word virus Samantha Pritchard kind of conception where it's just like a straight guy who was born evil, like Damien in The Omen, and they latch on to an ideology like communism, which transgenderism and communism might as well be. They're the same thing. But it's just like a horrible plague of malcontents who were bad and should have been dealt with early on.
Yeah. It's dangerous.
If you're attracted at all to trans or communist ideology, then that means that you're evil.
I agree.
That means that you're operating from the perspective of Satan.
Similarly to lesbians.
Lesbians, I have more sympathy for because, as we've talked about, like the genetic lesbians where they have the like square body, and it's like, okay, a butch like tomboy woman who fetishizes and develops an attraction to other women. That makes sense, but
They like want to be the dude in the You know what? That's like what it all. The problem is that that's what it all stems from. It all stems from that woman that you're talking about right now. Like I saw one walking into. I saw two actually this week walking into the gas station by my house. Like they're women who are legitimately lesbians, whatever that means.
I respect those women. I love them. I miss lesbianism. I like feel like a real connection to like old school lesbians when I talk to them.
Those are the real people. Like those are the real victims of the transgender thing because those are the people. Like it's like a known fact that that women and girls are the ones who are turning trans.
Your audio cut out.
What just
Hello?
happened? Yeah, we just lost Berto. Where'd he go?
Berto, was your audio cut out by the libtards?
Yes, it was. Hold on, let's see. I guess he's not looking at...
Oh, hello?
Berto.
Yeah, you just cut out.
The libtards cut your audio.
Yeah, right.
No, it was my girlfriend calling me. That's what was going on.
Oh,
And
that's different.
Is your girlfriend an extension of the libtard apparatus? This conspiracy knows no ends.
So what I was saying was, what was I in the middle of?
You were railing against trans people and talking about how lesbians have dignity. The real lesbians have dignity.
The real lesbians are the ones. I saw multiple lesbians walking into the gas station this week as I was buying Jewel Pods. That's literally what happened. And the lesbians are the ones who are the real victims here, because they're not going to exist. Because it's a known fact that women and girls are the ones turning trans, like in the largest numbers, and it's gonna be lesbians that don't exist. It's gonna be the true lesbians.
They already don't exist. Like the classical old school lesbian feminists are considered basically defunct and like problematic, like white men. Like all the young butch lesbians who are like biologically destined for that role as being born in female bodies and attracted to women, they are routed into the transgender ideology, which says they are this facsimile of men who were born in the wrong body. And because they're genetically women, they're too stupid to understand that that's a psyop.
Yeah.
So we have all these like trans men where it's just butch lesbians now call themselves trans men. And it's god awful. It's, you know, like I have so much respect for like the old school lesbians who were like strange, like bull-like women.
Yeah, they even wore wife beaters back then before all this nonsense took over. You don't have to change.
You're not a man born in the wrong body.
You can just wear a wife beater.
And it's only hot if you're still a woman. Like, you know, it's like when you become trans and you give into the satanic word virus and sign the glowing floating scroll like Ursula from Little Mermaid with the dead poor unfortunate souls, like that's when you become unhot because you've surrendered your soul to Satan. And if you were just like a regular butch woman, you would be hot. This all relates to the movie Legally Blonde very, very closely.
I absolutely love that we've had trouble talking about the topics this whole time. It's fun. I mean, it's such a great conversation, you know.
I literally can't believe it. You're the only person ever who has been like, I can't talk on a podcast, and it's 4 hours now.
I could talk for 1,000 hours. So we'll keep,
can I use my button again? Hold on, ready? Keep talking.
What's the button?
You don't hear it?
Button, who's got the button?
No, Orton, I don't hear the button.
Just keep talking.
I don't hear it.
Don't worry about it. Just keep talking.
Orton, we don't hear the button.
It's just like, okay, the message that I get from these two movies is that everyone has a deep inborn genetic code to realize losers and rotten apples are like communist infiltrants who will.
It is when Elle Woods screams "me" at the top of her lungs. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
When she makes the internship and she goes "me." You remember that?
Oh yeah.
She screams "me" as loud as she can.
That's a cry against the silence. That I think Brigitte Bardot's like Islamophobic memoir is called like A Cry Against the Silence. Like that's the cry against the silence.
It really is. I mean, and it's pleasant. Like I've been meaning to say this the whole time too. It is pleasantly. Both of these movies are pleasantly progressive. They're pleasantly girl power in the best way. And it's in a way that I have no problem with whatsoever. And it doesn't get in the way of the movie. It doesn't bother me at all. When I'm bothered by modern feminist like things in movies. And when Elle Woods wins, I'm happy. When she owns her stupid, mean boyfriend, I'm happy.
Because he's a faggot.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she deals with a potential, when she deals with sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah. When she gets the Me Too, I'm like, fuck that dude. I'm like, fuck this, Me Too.
Because it's real. You know? It's true.
Yeah.
I was really
actually
sad
happened.
that the designer of the Titanic also harassed.
He's so hot. I love him.
Wait, explain what you're saying right now. I have no
He
idea.
designed the Titanic?
He's in Titanic. He's the designer of Titanic. The law school professor that hits on her.
No way!
Yeah.
I totally didn't realize that. I haven't seen Titanic in years. That's so funny. That's sad. Poor, you know what? Poor Elle. I feel terrible for her when she gets harassed. I feel amazing for her when she wins. I feel amazing for her. You know what?
I feel amazing for her when she wins.
Yeah, it's so
true.
When she owns her stupid, mean boyfriend who didn't understand her potential, I am so happy, and I want to give her a hug and I don't know. It's just
I forgot how much I love women before this weekend. It's so crazy. I'm like, women used to be so charming and smart and
it's everything
cute.
It's everything about feminism except for being a stupid fucking bitch.
Or being a bad person. It's everything about modern feminism is about being just a bad, neglectful, lazy, gross person. And you see the influence of these people when they're telling you to dislike and distrust an image like Elle Woods, where it's a smart, confident, blonde, hot girl who doesn't conform to any of the stereotypes or standards, and it just depresses me. I feel like our podcast went through several iterations of misogyny. The first group of episodes up to Blade Runner 2049 are exercising a certain type of misogyny that's unavoidable in the present day, because you have to name the role that women have played in the current dystopian nightmare. Yeah. And you get called misogynist for that.
Yep.
But I feel like such a loser saying I was around hot, cute women last night, and I was just like, I literally forgot how I love women.
Yeah.
Because they're so, like, their role in the current cultural climate is just as these horrible, desexed enforcers.
Yeah. That's a fact. Like, whatever this movie represents is something... It's such a better vision for feminine... I mean, it's a vision for femininity... I've had 8 beers. That includes femininity at all, you know?
Yeah.
And it also features a perm, just like Troop Beverly Hills, the Linda Cardellini from Freaks and Geeks, who's a really underrated actress. I love her. She's beautiful.
A little Italian broad, I'm down with it. I always thought she was cute in this movie.
Yeah, she's adorable. But the fact that the whole like plot hinges on Elle recognizing that you couldn't wash your hair after getting a perm is like really cute.
I love that this is the only court case in the history of the world that hinges on 2, not just 1, but 2 fashion things. Like the reason that she wins is 2 fashion issues. It's that she realizes the guy is gay. She realizes the guy is gay because of a fashion thing, and then she realizes that the girl didn't shower because of a fashion thing.
It's amazing, and it's also truthful. Like, and it's just, I don't know. I feel this intense empathy for women, and like the criticism of like me and this show that hurts me the most is when I'm branded a misogynist, as if I don't understand the full scope of what women go through. And I'm constantly championing women's art. Like, I'm constantly... Like, I truly feel like I love women more than the average straight man. Like,
in a different...
That's a fact.
The idea that I'm like a misogynist that doesn't understand their experience is fucking traumatic to me. It's just...
it's like when Elle goes to when she goes to get the alibi, or the first time she meets, is it Brooke Wyndham? Mm-hmm. When the first time she goes to meet her, Brooke is like, I'm glad she's talking about all of her amazing, like, genius Harvard law, like, lawyers, and she's like, I'm glad one of you has a brain, you know?
No, it's amazing, and
that's
like the
what
casting
women are all about. Yeah, that's what being a woman's all about.
Allie Larder is so fucking hot, and you don't even see women like that in movies anymore. Like, because this whole impetus to cast 55-year-old women as 18-year-olds to demonstrate that you are not sexist and haven't rejected them. You know, it's ridiculous. Like, we saw, you know, Orton and I went on Twink Revolution talking about Wonder Woman 1984, where Kristen Wiig, who
I remember that episode.
She's literally 50 years old, and she looks amazing, but, you know...
It's a little...
They would have casted a beautiful young woman in any other generation.
She's playing, like, an 18-year-old who's, like, awkward and, like... I don't know how to go on dates with guys. She's literally half a century old.
At the same time, I actually miss when high school kids in movies were, like, 35-year-old looking.
Me too.
You know what? Well, I mean, that's Legally Blonde. I mean, the college kids are like 40.
They all look really old to me, but it's kind of the late 90s, early 2000s Dawson's Creek phenomenon, where it was like 25-year-olds who were cast to play teenagers, and
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. Like, the artifice of it is part of the art, but yeah, any final words on Legally Blonde, True Beverly Hills, the transgender question?
I'm just glad to have a guest who's also in Central Time, the only real time zone.
The only real time. Okay, wait.
It's
I have
called
to say,
Central Time because it's central to everything else.
I have two more things to say that are very important that I have on my list of things to say that I actually.
This is your platform, Berto.
Bruiser is the first one in Legally Blonde to notice that the truth that the daughter did the crime. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Bruiser gets it.
Bruiser. So when the daughter says something about the perm, I don't remember the exact thing right now because I'm hammered as fuck.
Bruiser perks up.
Bruiser, during the court case at the end of the movie, when the girl says something about the perm, Bruiser jumps out. It switches the camera to Bruiser jumping out of her purse, and Bruiser's the first one to notice. So that's very important to the film.
Bruiser is an extension of Elle, so
Yes.
he's like her little like Navi, like Legend of Zelda Navi, like,
Yes,
you know, he gets it, but
exactly.
The feeling I came away with from all of this and this weekend is just this intense sadness that I genuinely like women and think women are amazing.
Yeah.
And I like the second a girl like touches my sleeve or like talks to me in like a flirtatious, cool way instead of as a cold Blade Runner 2049 like operative. You know, it's really sad. Like I literally was steered towards homosexuality because of the
women.
Because of the overall social project of the making Democrats, COVID, whatever, but like it's the magic of women and how like exciting and glamorous and cool and like funny they can be was like the sad thing I was left with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's sad what's happened to female-ness.
Yeah, they're making it hard for the good ones.
Yeah. Jen Psaki? Like, it's literally like the women you see on the news cycle all day are just like dried up pieces of lunch meat that like support authoritarian regimes. Like, you know,
they're just used.
It's so sad, and like women can be so interesting and so fun and so sexy, and they have been trained out of acknowledging any of those qualities in themselves.
Yeah. Last thing I have to say concerning women is Elle Woods completely mogs like every single man on earth and every like theory cell on Twitter at the end of the movie when she says no offense to Aristotle.
You gotta explain this one to me. I don't know anything about philosophy.
So it doesn't matter about the whole point is you don't need to know about philosophy. On the first day in class, on Elle Woods' first day in class, her teacher quotes Aristotle. She has a quote on the chalkboard.
Oh yeah. Law is
reason free from passion. Yes, law is reason free from passion. She says at the end of the movie, she says, "On my first day at law school, I saw one of my greatest professors," or whatever, said, "Law is reason free from passion." And then she goes, no offense to Aristotle, but passion but feelings and passion are very important or some shit.
Yeah.
But it's just so amazing. Like, she says no offense to Aristotle. That is like the epitome of, like, it's just so perfect. It's so perfect. So I was really happy when I watched it again after a couple of years, and it was just great.
Thank you so much, Berto. This has been wonderful.
I've had a great time, guys. I hope that I am not the most hateful person on earth for having this conversation.
Everything you say makes sense,
now.
so yeah.
It's too late now.
Too late.
Yeah, you're not guarded and like Machiavellian enough to like censor what you say. So
Yeah, I'm like just saying my thoughts. So I just had a great time, and I've had 8 beers. So thank you guys.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I love
Thank
you both, and I appreciate you both for everything you've done for me and everything you've done for whatever stupid podcast I have. And yeah, you guys are great.
I love you too.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night, boys.
All right.
All right.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Rock and roll.
Here we go.